Hello, everybody. It is me, Pacific. Happy Saturday, everybody. I bet y'all been wondering, wow, where's Pacific? He did a video of his bus, he did a video of his ride to work, and he's gone. I'm trying to make a more concerted effort to do more videos that are concentrated and power-packed and really hit home. Today, we're going to be talking about girls. Marsha. We're going to be talking about girls, some of the things I have covered before, but we're going to broaden out and talk more in depth about some of this material. Where do I want to go with this? I'm going to talk about my opinions, my experiences based on my 49 years of living, American women, Asian women. Why do Filipinas come after American white men? And we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about bisexual men and men that are doing things with other men, and Pacific's opinion as to why this is exploding all across America. Let me start with a personal experience this week. Remember, I told you that after last Sunday, I had spent all day at the gal's house that I dated, took her to church. She wanted to go. She liked my church, said, man, they're even more welcoming at your church than they are mine. We chilled at her apartment for the better part of the day. I leaving at 6:30 p.m., went home, made my own dinner, and I did that because I had had about all I could take of her complaining all day long. She complained that she was tired. She complained about this, complained about work, complained about, and we're not going to recover that. And after Sunday, I was like, and you know, she texted me Monday, have a good day, hope you're having a good day. And I'm telling you, everything in my interior being said, wow, you gotta just ignore. And I thought, no, I can't do that. And I started entertaining a belief that maybe if she sees a man who is different, a man who's not abusive, more loving, more sweet, more giving, then maybe she'll change. So this week we called a couple times, texted a few times. I texted her in the morning, hey, good morning, hope you have a great day, blah, blah, blah. A little later on, she would text back, and then maybe on her lunch hour. Yesterday, everything seemed to be going well. I texted her in the morning. She texted me later, you also have a good day, God bless you. And I sent her another text at lunch. And then about 3 on a layover, she texted me. And I flirted a little bit in a couple of texts, and she responded right away, I believe you're flirting with me, he. So last night, I sent her a text. She said, I'm so tired today, and my work is texting me about more shifts, and I wish they'd all just leave me alone. And I said, I texted her, do you want to talk? May I call you? 40 minutes went by, and she calls. We talk, and she starts complaining. She's not like, oh, hi, how are you? And not, I missed you. None of that. And I thought, wow, there is just no pulling this girl up. Then she goes, I'm really tired. And I said, and she called me back, and I said, maybe I ought to just come over, give you a back massage, fix you dinner, maybe you could. No, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work. That wouldn't work. That's been done before. And I thought, wow, what will work with this woman? And then she says this. Now, I want to tell you something. You heard what I just said. I did not text her all day. I try not to bombard her. In fact, I text her one message. I wait for her to answer, and then I'll text maybe once in the middle of the day or later. Yesterday, She had texted me something. I texted back. She responded. And then went back and forth a couple times. I thought, well, she's keeping the ball going. She must be on a break or she must be done because she's been getting done in about 3 on some days. I don't know her schedule. She doesn't post it for me. So sometimes she has long days. Sometimes she has short days. She says in the conversation, very rudely, she goes, I heard her say, and you were texting me all day, which just drove me nuts. And I immediately said, who was texting you all day? Exact words. This was her exact response. I'm not going to fight with you. And I thought, and I just pushed hang up. I thought, you know what? I'm done. This is what I sent. Won't text or call you anymore. I promise. You truly are a hard woman to get along with. Take care and have a hopefully happy life if you can. So it wasn't a minute later. Oh my gosh, geez, I said I'll call you tomorrow. That's not what I had heard at all. And I didn't respond. Then she said, you don't need to get all butthurt, laugh out loud. Now that I laughed at. We were just joking around the other day about, have you heard people use the term butthurt? And she goes, oh my gosh, yes. And we thought that was funny and we were laughing. Okay, that made me laugh. Now that was funny. So then I sent another one, get some sleep. And yeah, you need a nappy, laugh out loud. I'm trying, called her by name. Cut me some slack. Someone is trying to get close to you. Don't push them away. Sleep well. No response. So I called my lady friend in Tennessee and I said, I'm going to tell you all this. You're a woman and I want your opinion. She sided with me. She said, you know what? That's nuts. You have been so nice to her, so polite. What is her problems? I want to tell you a couple things. We're going to talk about American women today. And you're going to say, well, Pacific, we've heard this before. Yes and no. We're going to broaden out the subject matter. This friend of mine that I have in Tennessee is one of the most agreeable, even-keeled personality women I've met. I never see bitchiness in her. I never see moodiness. She's always polite, always nice, and on a personality level, she's the kind of a girl any guy would want to get involved with. She's loving, she's sweet. I was reflecting on a woman that works with us at work. I'm not attracted to her. She's white, girl, she's heavier. She's not what I would call beautiful, but I always say hi to her. She started dating another guy who's very overweight, and both of them are suited to each other. They're both nice people. And I noticed she's never bitchy, never rude, never moody. She's always consistent. I say, hey, how you doing? Good, how are you? She lived on the eastern plains of Colorado. She would be definitely a plain woman. And I started reflecting. That triggered thoughts and thought, Pacific, start analyzing in your life who the biggest, most difficult, high-maintenance women have been. They've always been the good-looking, petite, smaller women. Let's talk about the church secretary at the church I went to in Arvada. Very rude, very bitchy, very moody, very stuck up, always concentrating on God's holiness, but being a holy jerk. And we have a plethora of Christian women like that, good-looking jerks for Jesus. And people get mad. Remember Ding Dong? Remember the gypsy woman? Sent me picture after picture, no shirt on, scantily clad, and then just condemning me after I sent her video saying, you know what, I felt I had nothing left to lose. She didn't even look at the requirements of my post. Seeking Ebony, 1 or 2 emails, then we phone number. And the first 2 is she's not Ebony. The second one is she's not going to call me, not going to talk to me, not even going to mask her number. And I'm supposed to just go on a blind date with some woman that I don't know is a woman. And for an ensuing year, this white British UK ex-UK girl is harassing and internet stalking. And I finally said, I will call the school district you work at, and I will drop your name and say I'm being harassed on the internet. Boom, I never heard from her again. That worked. People say, well, maybe she wasn't a woman. I believe she was. I've been around enough of women that I saw the way she wrote, how condemning and critical she was of me, and I thought, it's a woman. I know the fingerprint of this. And it started getting me to think about petite American women. Let's flash back to a church I went to in Spokane. I went to a church on the South Hill of Spokane. South Hill's an area. And the pastor hired a small, petite, sandy blonde-haired, 4'8" woman to lead the children's department. She no longer works there. The church had a problem with the pastor and the leadership, rightfully so. And the pastor quit, and all his little hirelings left with him. I thought, isn't that funny? If they really believe they're called of God, why are they all just following him out the door? They hired her for a children's department of a small church as a full-time person. I thought, we need a full-time person in the children's department. I had the privilege, and she was cute, but still without a boyfriend. I was asked by the youth pastor to drive the bus for that trip, 65-passenger international school bus, down to Soda Springs, Idaho for 1 week in a heavily Mormonized community to do a vacation Bible school at a Baptist church. I got along with the high school kids, except one. There was a girl who drove her car who was not what I would call attractive. She was more tomboyish, very rude. She drove in front of me the whole way and then wasn't paying attention, and I'd go up this hill and have to get my speed up. That bus had a top speed of 60, that's it. Going down the highways in Idaho, and she would slow down, and I'd start to go to pass her because I can't lose my momentum, then she'd gun it. The girl got sideways with me one night when I wasn't even talking to her, and I'm like, excuse me? You need to just go away. She was rude, she was a pain in the butt, anything but Christ-like. The rest of the high schoolers were nice to me, liked me. Several of the gals would come up. In the morning, I would sleep in the bus. They all slept. There were two church buildings. There was a sanctuary where the girls slept, and then there was the building next door that was like dorm rooms, Sunday school rooms with a kitchen, all that, and the boys were housed in there. I'd get up in the morning. I'd go in and use the bathroom in the boys' thing, and then I'd walk over to the school to use the shower. They had a high school there, and there was a woman janitor, and I'd strike up a conversation with her. And she had told me, oh, yes, this is all lost and found stuff. I know you have a group of high schoolers. Would they want any of this? I said, let me go over and tell them. She had hoodies and sweatshirts and girl shirts and guy shirts and baseball caps. And I went over and I said, guys, if you want free good stuff that nobody's claimed that the janitor has to get rid of, come on over to the school. They cleaned her out. I mean, nice stuff. I talked to this woman about living in a Mormon community. She was not a Mormon. I talked to her about what it was like in Soda Springs. If you guys want to Google that and look at it, it's a plain town out in the middle of some hills that are, it's just out in the middle of nowhere. But the woman who was this children's leader ministries at this church, she was with us that whole time. A little bit younger than me. She was a firecracker of a woman. And I thought she was cute, but I didn't dare hit on her because I've had experiences with this. And as the trip progressed, I noticed she was being ruder and ruder to me. I was driving. I'd get up every morning, pleasant, greet everybody, and I'm like, wow, this woman needs to learn a lesson in tact and politeness. Anyways, I'd come out of the bus, go shower, come back, everybody'd eat their breakfast. I'm standing outside the church on the walkway, and one gal would come up and start talking to me about God, about wanting to go to college. I'm standing there leaning against the railing. She's chatting with me. I'm not hitting on her. She has her eyes on a high school boy in the group. And the pastor comes up to me and says, hey, I notice that you're talking to, the ladies a lot. I said, you know what? I go out and I'm walking and they say, hey, Mike, can we talk to you? And I'm standing right here with all the group right there. talking to them. I don't bring them to the bus. We're not around the back of the building. She goes, well, somebody brought it to my attention, and I thought, I'll bet you I know exactly who that is. This is spiritual, short, sawed-off woman in there, right? Well, I'm not going to tell you. Yeah, I know who it is. I said, by the way, you might want to check her. She's been very rude to me this whole trip, and I don't know why I've been pleasant to her. Let me tell you a true story. Been driving all day long. He finally says, well, no, I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong. Actually, I haven't observed you doing anything wrong. It's just that somebody expressed concern, and I said, why don't you just say it was Diane? I like how churches try to be so protective of people instead of going back and saying, you know, what exactly is Mike doing? I don't see a problem here. His own wife, very immature, dressed very provocatively, thought she was all that in a bag of chips. We went to a lake, and we had some sort of everybody was sitting around, and I noticed she had several of the high school girls leaning against her, one sitting on her lap with her arms around her. True story, and I'm thinking, that's not right. I didn't say a word. And then this one girl, everybody said, let's bury her in the sand, and so we all ran and chased her. She laughed. She let us bury her legs. We started piling sand over her, and everybody was involved. Not everybody, but a bunch of people. And the pastor's wife comes over and says, I don't think it's appropriate that you should be doing that. Doing what? Well, you know, you're an older guy. And I said, you know what? We're all burying her. And I thought, what is going on here? And I should have turned around and said, and is it appropriate for young ladies to be sitting on your lap? You're 20 years old, dressed provocatively, and you got your arms around them? Let me just tell you a quick story. That pastor ended up getting fired by the church for taking church money, taking that same group of people. They were supposed to go on a missions trip to South America, and without asking the parents or anything, he suddenly decided to take them all to Rio because he has a thing for women. He even admitted to me he struggled deeply with pornography, even though he had a hot brown skin, white wife with, and I can't say her name, but her name is the most stupidest, immature name anybody could give a girl. I'm like, when she's 40 years old, is that going to stick with her that maybe that name is just not cool? All I'm going to tell you is part of her name was Cool. Kool, and I'm not going to tell you the rest. And I'm like, somebody must have been high when they named this girl. That whole trip, the high school girls and guys were nice to me. We had talks about theology. We had talks. They asked me about my Hong Kong experience. I didn't get into all the finer details of, the bad things. But when I went the last day that I spent driving 500 miles or so back to Spokane, somewhere in my possessions in my uncle's house in storage, I have a thing. They had made a card, put it all together, and many of them signed it saying, you are awesome, we love your stories, we love talking to you, and they were all nice to me. The ones that weren't nice were the two female leaders that came on the trip, both of which attitudes sucked. The one pastor's wife doing what I would call borderline inappropriate behavior with high school girls. The pastor himself not really being what I call anybody I'd want to emulate, hang out with. And I thought, wow, I am alone on this trip. I am alone. I was the bus driver. So driving all day, we go into some little town in Montana. And we decide to go to a campground out in the middle of nowhere. And it's late. The kids all eat first. And I decided to be polite and wait, let all the kids get fed. One of the guys says, hey, Pacific, we didn't fix you anything. Do you want anything? And this short woman is over here doing some sort of a prayer meeting in the trees about 10 feet away from the barbecue. And I very politely said, yeah, sure. She turns around and says, "Hey, Pacific, we're trying to have a prayer meeting. Do you think you could be quiet?" I said, "I'm sorry. I just answered him. He asked me if I wanted something to eat." I said, "With all due respect, I've been driving all day. Do you think I could get something to eat? And maybe you might want to move your group away from the barbecue area." She didn't take to that too kindly. And I tell you what do you do when you're a long distance away and you can't just say, "You know what, screw you," and walk and literally leave her behind? I felt awful. And I should have taken her aside and said, "You have been very unchristian and very unrude to me. I've been driving. I've been pleasant every day. I've done nothing wrong. And you've got a problem with me, and I don't know what it is. Everything I did was honorable, on the up and up." I'd go into they had a big, large room in the building next door, and they had some games and fun. They asked me to join them, and I was keeping to myself. I'd go for walks. I'd go walk early in the morning by myself. I'd go to the high school shower, and I'd go walk up the Soda Springs Mountain with the big S on the side, and I would just go off and do my own thing. And yet, they wouldn't leave me alone. They'd come out and look for me, the kids, and I would go, and they were talking to me, and one night, the guy and the girl that were interested in each other came up and talked to me, and it's really sad when people half my age or more than half my age are talking to me, and the leaders are all but ignoring me. That Mrs. Cool can't even greet me in the morning. "Hey, how are you? You sleep all right? Thanks so much for that." Nothing. It has been my experiences, short, petite, good-looking American women are some of the worst personalities to deal with moodiness, bitchiness, unkindness, and very difficult women to please. So when I talked to my friend in Tennessee about this gal that I dated last week, I said, I'm not going to be so nice. When and if she calls today, we have our company picnic today. Going to pick up my Filipino friend, and we're going to go to it. And I had told this friend of mine, this lady I dated, "If you want to go, I'll be more happy to pick you up, but I don't think you like to get up early. We need to be there by 11. And she said, "Well, I got some things to do." I said, "That's fine." I said, "If you want to be with me later, I'll let you call that." And that was a couple days ago. I'm not going to text her, and I'm not going to call her this morning. Ball's in her court. But if she starts saying anything about driving me nuts, I'm going to say, "You know what? I'm going to tell you something. There is no man that's going to put up with this behavior of yours. None. You've attracted men that you're not wild about. I'm being nice. I have done everything I can to not offend you. I'm going to tell you, young lady, I'm not going to walk on eggshells. I think you're attractive. I think there's good qualities about you. But if you're going to be a jerk, go find somebody else to go do that too. If you are unapproachable and hard to get to and unloving, and I don't want that. If you want a guy that will take care of you and a guy that will do the best he can for you, you're looking right at him. But I'm not going to put up with this. This and many other things that popped up this week prompted me to realize this needs to be talked about. This needs to be talked about. And many of you guys will go, "Pacific, why are you wasting your time with her?" I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why, and I have a very good reason for it. Experiment to prove a point. Are American women reachable by us men? And the answer that's coming to me is pretty much no. I tried to take the high road and say, you're going to have to work through any relational problem with anybody. We talked about how men and women are guilty of looking for Mr. and Mrs. Perfect and they're not finding it. That Jesus didn't look around for perfect people to make well. He looked around for broken people to make well. One who is well needs not see a doctor, but those who are not well, he said that. Let me read to you something that struck me. I'm now in the book of Isaiah, reading a chapter a day. Got through Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon. If you want to read a racy book that is in the Bible, read the Song of Solomon. I was telling this gal I dated some of the things I said. She goes, "I never remember that." I said, "I'll read it to you." No, I'll have to look. I said, her breasts are like towers. Your breasts are like fawns. It says all that? Yep. We're going to talk about passion. We're going to talk about sensual. We're going to talk about sexy. We're going to talk about a problem that is unique to America with women dressing provocative, being what I call teasers, that yet when it comes to actual sexuality, that American women are good at having sex, but not making love. Again, this is the express opinions of the management of this channel. You may not agree, but I have seen this play out over and over. We're going to get to that. So I'm reading in Isaiah 3 yesterday, and God's talking about bringing judgment. He has had it up to here with the Israelites for a host of reasons, but he keys in on the women. Listen to this. Isaiah 3, starting with verse 16. Moreover, in fact, the title that somebody put over it is Judah's Women Denounced. You've been denounced. I like that. Moreover, the Lord said, because the daughters of Zion are proud and walk with heads held high and seductive eyes, and go along with mincing steps and tinkle the bangles on their feet. Let's stop. For those of you that are on my Facebook, I posted a photo of an India woman with all the chains and the earrings and the nose rings, and they used to wear anklets, and they would tingle and ding, and I think some of that stuff is really cool. Therefore the Lord will afflict the scalp of the daughters of Zion with scabs. Let that settle in. And the Lord will make their foreheads bare. In that day the Lord will take away the beauty of their anklets, headbands, crescent ornaments, dangling earrings, bracelets, veils, headdresses, ankle chains, sashes, perfume boxes, amulets, finger rings, nose rings, festal robes, outer tunics, cloaks, money, purses. Let's stop right there. They had nose rings. Notice God doesn't condemn them for that. I want to do an indent here. People have asked my opinion on piercing. I'm going to tell you that American women don't know how to pierce themselves. I've seen a lot of American white women put that little rhinestone right in their nose. Every one of them that I've met that wear that are jerks. I don't know why, but there is an association. There's a granddaughter here that's got one. She's stuck up. She's a biatch. She's not nice. She's very plain Jane. Not what I would call haughty. And she thinks she's way above everybody. I've gone into banks with tellers like that. I've gone into businesses, and every time I see that nose ring, I thought, bitch. I mean, it's just synonymous. I look at pictures of women from India with all that stuff. They're stunning. American women, there's a Mexican woman I work with who's a para. Her very pretty daughter came in, and she's got piercings and earrings all the way around here with a stick earring that goes lengthwise. I thought, what is it about women in the culture here that if they're going to pierce themselves, they can't even make themselves look good? The fish hooks on the lips. And I watch them, they're going like this. The tongue ring with the stud on it. And I find that, and then the belly button pierce and all this, and it's like, I'm going to say something. American women don't know how to make themselves look good. They don't know how to do anything with class. Most of them. Elysée, I don't even know if I'm saying it right because I don't know French at all beyond oui and bonjour and les pants. Remember Pepe Le Pew? I like Elysée's music, and I saw some updated videos of her. She's now covered in tattoos down her arm. She was a cute little vixen, and now she looks as trashy as anybody else. Ratted out hair, all this, and I thought, something hit me when you look at these musicians, and we get it behind them. Oh, she's hot, she's cute. They cannot handle fame. It goes to their head. They turn themselves into an iconic idol. They start doing this and doing that and pushing the envelope, and pretty soon they're another wrecked hulk of a woman that nobody wants except some desperado. I was thinking about a verse that jumped at me when I saw Elysée, how cute she was and how cute she is no longer. And I thought, God said something very apropos. I will share my glory with no other. And if you notice a lot of pretty women today, they're all about glorifying themselves. And I'm going to be very pointed. You see it in the videos. You see it in the stage. You see it with the American pop culture that these women, you give them a microphone and they get up there and they've got a crowd eating out of their hand. And I have to laugh. That also goes with the Christian female musicians. It is not about God. It is not about His glory. It's about their iconic fan club and their messages and their bulletins and their newsletter and their thing. Just something I've noticed. That our culture has changed from giving glory to God to now we're giving glory to ourselves. I don't think I need to say any more about that. Let's read on verse 24. Now it will come about that instead of sweet perfume, there will be putrefaction, rotting flesh. Yuck. Instead of a belt, a rope. Instead of a well-set hair, a plucked-out scalp. Instead of fine clothes, a donning of sackcloth, and branding instead of your beauty. Your men will fall by the sword, and your mighty ones in battle, and her gates will lament and mourn, and deserted she will sit on the ground. God has had it with these dames. Your proud look. What has Pacific said over and over about good-looking women in this culture? You go to Cherry Creek Mall, you see these women sitting in their SUVs, you see these women walking their dogs. They are proud, all right. And you just got to ask yourself, really? Now, I've already covered that I think American women are nothing but clones. We all go to the same coffee shop. We all buy the same boring, dowdy clothes. We all buy the same SUV. And we all think we're so unique and special, and you don't know me. Oh, I know you, honey. There's about 30 million of you that are all exactly the same. Cookie cutters. We all go to Einstein Bagels. We all go to trendy Starbucks. We all go to this. And we all talk about the same boring junk. I wrote some notes. One of the things that I've heard over and over, my friend in Vermont talked to me the other day and he said, you know, at church, I've talked to the men. Many of us men have talked, and they said they're not getting any by their wives. This has been a subject that's come up a lot. American Christian men, their wives aren't making love to them. And American women would have you believe, well, they're all jerks. Pacific was honest enough to say that when I went to Asia, and that marriage, that a girl that I pursued failed, that I dated women I couldn't believe, that something awakened in me that I didn't even know I had. Passion. Sensuality. That the Asian women that I dated would drape their arm over mine, were always touching me, loving, touching me, kissing on me, making out with me like teenagers. And you come back here and American women are so matter of fact, so boring, so uninspired, that the only time they light up is, oh, I just got my new SUV. I just spent $5,000 on my new purebred dog. And I just look at that and go, wow, congratulations. Not. That American women show their cleavage. They sit there, guys sit there and drool, and all you see American women do in the break room is texting. They don't look up at you. They're not interested in you, but guys will still, oh, did you see her rack, man? Dude, look over at her. She sits in that corner at that table all day, every day, doesn't do a damn thing. She just, video games. I post a cute saying on my Facebook. Dead. I am going to say something that's going to offend a lot of American women. American women are not passionate. As a rule. Now, I understand there's exceptions, and some idiot will listen. I'm going to say it. Some idiot will listen to my video. You make a blanket statement. Yes, I did make a blanket statement, but I did say not all, but 99.9% majority of American females have traded their passion for stuff that is just dead. American women have been conditioned to get caught up into the corporate machine of purchasing, buying and spending and buying. How anybody, and I remember being part of this crowd. I grew up, you go to the mall. You want to meet girls, you go to the mall. That doesn't work anymore, by the way. If you guys are looking to find a chick, you're not going to do it at the mall. You're just not. As a rule, there may be exceptions. That girls can get into shopping and carrying their bags of crap around all day with other flaky girls, having flaky, meaningless conversations and spending more money than they need to on stuff they don't need, ought to tell us men something. A relational disaster. I have gone with women that want to look at boring blouses, boring purses, and I heard her say, "You probably can't stand doing this because men don't like to shop." Actually, I'm a man that does things with women, and no, I'm not into shopping, but if she wants to go to a store, I'm going to go with her because I want to be with her. The reason American women are not passionate is because they've traded their passion for people and put it into a quest and consumeristic mentality towards stuff. I was at Safeway yesterday. I'm going to step out for 1 minute, take care of this, and I'll be right back. Kind of like TV. You all ran and went to the bathroom real quick and got your munchies, right? Just kidding. So, yesterday, I went to Safeway with 3 other women. One's a Jehovah's Witness, Hispanic. 2 were black, heavy. And the one black woman, she was from the other terminal. And she seemed nice, and I started talking, and several times I'd ask her a question, and she would not answer me and ignore me and talk to the other woman. And I noticed the interaction. "Girl, your hair looks so good." "Oh, yours does too." And back and forth. And she said something. I said, "Oh, what was that?" No answer. And I thought, it's funny. I'm just going to say it. A lot of women just aren't into men. But there was another dynamic that she probably didn't care for white people, so here I am. She drove the bus. We're allowed to get in one bus, and when we have a big group excursion somewhere, we're allowed to take one bus jointly, go somewhere, and go eat if it's a remain. So she was the designated driver. But we went into Safeway, and I was waiting with the one from my terminal to ring up her order. I had already bought my stuff. And there was the clerk, a short Hispanic woman that was quite pudgy. And then there was the bagger, who was a white woman who was pudgy. Neither one of them were what I would call good looking at all. And I don't know how the subject came up. But my coworker said something. And the one bagger said, "Oh, I won't date a man unless he has money." And I came so close to saying, "You got to be kidding me. Do you think a guy with big money is going to go after you?" The other woman said, "Well, if my husband ever dies, I'm going to definitely go after somebody who's got money." Good luck, ladies. Guys that have money are not going to choose frumpy and dumpy. They're just not going to do it. Not unless they're so dang hard up. And I can't even imagine that. Something that American women don't realize, especially the I'm a little bit chunky crowd, is that guys with money don't choose you. Guys with money can afford to purchase the woman they want. And what they're going to get is not a good relationship. They're going to get a good body. That's it. It's like buying cars. They're going to go out and see a hot-looking body on a GTO car, but the inside's are no good. The seats are rotted, the engine leaks oil, the transmission doesn't work. We have learned in America to be all about image, and we're not about this. And what you see happening over and over is that women have not been conditioned in our society to work on the heart at all. You can take this to the fat girl community. You can take this to the high maintenance yuppie girl community. You can take this to the petite, small breasted, very cute little women out there. You can take it on all levels. That they are conditioned by Cosmopolitan, Elle, People, Us magazine, all the modern media to focus on the externals, by what you drive, what kind of house you live in, the stuff you own, by how you coif up your hair, how you put on all the makeup, the clothing you wear. And have you noticed that American women, you go to an American women's store, whether it's Target or Kmart, and it's nothing but boring, dowdy clothing. Then I go to Hong Kong, and the Filipinos wear cute shirts with sequins and glittery, sparkly stuff, and cute shirts, black with all that detail. And I go, why are the Filipinos, when they're dressing, so much cuter than American women who can spend all the money, way more than the Filipinos can? That's a good question. I don't know. And yet, American women think that what they bought is cute. And I'm going, cute? If you're into cookie-cutter manufacturing and there's 29 billion of these things flooding the market, and it's not even cute. I'm going to take a break here. I'm going to take one last stab at two Safeway clerks. I'm like, you're bagging groceries. You're running a cash register. I'm going to tell you something right now. Just as you're all about wanting men with money, they're going to want a woman who's more higher profile than a Safeway bagger and a clerk checkout. This stuff pisses Pacific off. I wouldn't even be interested in dating those two women, even if they threw themselves at me and be like, I can't get into you. But they're gonna go after a man with money. Well, you'll go to your grave empty-handed, babes. I promise you that. Somebody wanted me to do a video, and I couldn't do hour or 2 hour discussion on this because it's limited in what I have to say about it. Could you, Pacific, do a video on why Filipinos go after white American women, or white American men, excuse me? Can I say the answer? I don't know. There are some Filipinos that are guilty, much like American women. They grow up in poverty. They have to work hard. And they've been told and they've been conditioned by our Hollywood media. They see the Hollywood movies and they think all American men live like that. You know, the nice upper end house, nice cars, trophy wives, successful. What they don't see is a school bus driver or a construction framer, or a drywall hanger, or a guy that works at Walmart stocking shelves. They don't see that. They see the guy who's upper end pulling 100K or more a year down, and they think we're all like that. A lot of Filipinos think that if they get involved with an American man, that they will have a much better life financially, get to sit on their butt and get on Facebook all day while their man goes to work, and all that's required of them is an occasional trip to the bedroom. That's true. I met a lot of Filipinos that married not so good looking, older, like 40-year span difference. 60s marrying 20-something-year-old Filipina. And you know that their motive was not love, it was about their pocketbook. She'll give him free sex. He gets a hot, firm, brown-skinned body with long black hair. He's happy. She gets access to his checkbook. She's happy. And it's a marriage of convenience, not of heart. But Filipinos are not the only ones doing that. Russian and Ukraine women are doing it. There's a lot of women doing it. There are Chinese women doing it. So before we say that this woman or that woman doesn't do that, there's guilt in every camp and every ethnicity. I've told you about an alpha black female that works at our place, and I actually bristle every time I hear her open her mouth. I want to say, shut up. Nobody wants to hear you. A comment was made by one of the more attractive women that works and said nobody likes her. I said, oh, she thinks she's sliced cheese. Got the nose ring, got the poopy, plumpy belly, the bubble butt, thick calves. She wears her cutesy little outfits. You can tell she spends all of her money on a wardrobe and her Mercedes and her Jeep. She walks in the room and has to be heard by everybody. And I asked somebody the other day, I said, what is it that causes a woman to be so inflated with herself and she can't look around and realize that most people in here just kind of look at her and go, you know what, we're not impressed. A bus driver born and raised in Denver who's never been anywhere in her life, and she thinks she's the queen of everything. I don't know, but we've got a ton of women like that in this culture. Women that are not attractive, women that are not pretty inside or outside. And then all the fat women come at her, oh, I like your shoes. And they always compliment her, fueling that ego. And I'm going, you know what? Your shoes aren't cute. Your outfit isn't cute. You're not cute. You're irritating. You're annoying. And I sit at a table that the minute she opens her mouth, and several people whisper to me, oh, God, shut up. And I sit there and go, man, I wish somebody would just lay her out and knock that pride right out of her and put her in her place. I just read to you Isaiah 3. Their day is coming. And you know what's funny is even her, oh, I believe in God. Yeah, I'm sure. I don't think God believes in you, though. And I want to clarify and qualify that. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. But you look at a woman like that, I don't think she's about the glory of God. She's about the glory of herself. It doesn't matter if it's black women or Hispanic women, the complaint is the same. I watch Hispanic women, black women, white women dye their hair, add streaks and colors. There's two young Hispanic gals. One is the daughter of a very attractive woman who dyes her hair on a weekly basis, changes the color, changes it from perm, changes it to straight. She lives with her girlfriend lover. I thought, boy, now that's got to be interesting. Her adult daughters, what is going through their mind with mom living with her girlfriend? A girl that could get any guy she wants, Hispanic knockout. She is polite to me. I don't have anything against her personally. But her daughter's got blonde streaks in her hair. Every time I see her, I think skunk. You know, got the streak down through here. Beautiful black hair. And they're not happy with it. One girl I know who's actually pretty has so much foundation on her face that it's pinkish chalky with the false 1-inch long fluttering butterfly eyelashes. Her hair is a rat's nest. She sits there in a hoodie. And I just go, who is it that's in charge of women, their fashion, and their style? They need to be fired. It's like, this woman is pretty. If I was to be her manager, I'd say, we're going to get that purple out of your hair. We're going to let it grow back to the black. We're going to take all that foundation off your face. We're going to put you in a hot little shirt with sparkles on it. And we're going to make you stand out head and shoulders above everybody else. Women have recently gotten onto my feminism is destroying Western women and Western women are destroying themselves. And women says, who are you to judge whether a woman can dye her hair or not? Who are you to judge me whether I can judge a woman who dyes her hair or not? Back at ya. I can judge anything I want. Show me in here where I can't. Thou shalt not judge. Don't judge lest you be judged. Context, ladies. If you don't know Jesus Christ, that means you have a beam in your eye. You're not fit. You're not discerning. You don't have the Holy Spirit in you. You're not able to judge spiritual things. You cannot. The Pharisees run around judging everybody, and they were lost souls headed for hell. Jesus said, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees. You go over land and sea to win a single convert, and when you do, you make him twice as much a son of hell as you. excuse me, he called the religious leaders hellbound brood of vipers, serpents, whitewashed sepulchres, another word for tombstones. I can judge what people do. I can judge actions and I can judge words, and you bet I can judge beauty. I can judge, boy, that outfit looks just nasty on her. That does not make her face look good. Do I go up and tell that to them? No, but I can think it in my heart. I'm not going to be standing before God and held accountable for that. If I walk up and say, boy, you look like crap today, yeah, God's going to judge me for that, even if it's true. To go up and hurt somebody is wrong. Sometimes you need to keep your thoughts to yourself. I went with a friend. I'm not into her. I thought she was, halfway decent looking. Not into her. She's nice. She's a nice woman. She's not my type. And she made a comment to me one day, don't get any ideas. Don't think that we're going on a date. I didn't even think of it as a date. We're just getting together and doing something because you have been bothering me to do something, and I'm going to go do something with you. How many times I've had American women always bring up the sex subject. I haven't said one word about it, and they clear the air right now. I just want you to know I'm not interested in getting it on. I wasn't even looking at you that way, hon. Why is it American women always think that every man is out there trying to get down their pants? Where did that come from? That's epidemic, by the way. And I don't know why. Let me tell you about something that happened yesterday. I want to tell you a little bit about Pacific and the way I think. I was sweeping my bus, and one of the Morocco Muslim women, complete with the scarf and everything, dressed modestly. She's married. Her friend is married. Her friend is very attractive. Which she does not dress slutty at all. And it's funny, I know right away that her friend is attractive. Which proves you don't have to dress provocative to show your beauty. The women can be wrapped up as a Muslim woman, and you can still go, my gosh, she's got a cute face, a nice, lean, slender physique. They're both friends, but the one's a little more dominant than the other. And she goes, Pacific, why do you wear those wigs? You are so handsome, and you wear those, and I hate it when you wear those. And I haven't worn them. I got rid of them. One went in the trash, and one went to work. And somebody's daughter took it. I had my fun. It was fun, and I'm done with it. Two Muslim women. The younger one said, man, you don't even look 50. You're so young looking. You're so handsome. I'm going to share with American women and American viewers something, and everybody else that's tuned in from the international community, that it's very sobering when I grow up 49 years of my life and I don't hear those words from an American woman. You're handsome. You're good looking. I don't. I haven't even heard it from the girl I dated. Haven't even been told that once. Moroccan Muslim women who are nice to me. She was telling me how she had to spend time cleaning her bus, and she took me over her bus, showed it, and while we were talking, I stretched across two seats, and I said, man, I'm going to lay down for a few minutes. She sat in the seat compartment, leaned over the seat talking to me, and I was so tired, and I was listening to her, and she says, Pacific, I want to ask you a question. You say you're a Christian. Do you believe in 3 gods? I said, no, I believe in one God, the Trinity. And she was trying to get her mind around that, and I'm being polite and explaining. I'm laying down, so I'm looking up. She's got all her stuff on. She's talking to me, and her voice is not irritating. She's not being antagonistic. I like her accent. No, I'm not lusting after her. I haven't lusted after her at all. She genuinely greets me every single day. How are you? She's always nice to me. She's very clearly said in her body language she likes seeing me and chatting with me. She's faithful to her man. There's no doubt about that. And I've told my viewers something, that the people I get along with the best in my workplace are the foreigners. Even among the men. I'll tell you a story about a Mexican guy I work with. But we'll get to that soon. She's leaning over me, talking. Her voice is soothing and comforting, and I'm starting to lilt off, going, man, I love that accent of hers, that Moroccan accent. And I'm listening to what she's saying, but yeah, I'm starting to go into la-la land. I'm like, gosh, I'm tired. And we've got time before we pick up the group. And then I hear her go, you're getting sleepy. I said, I'm listening. She just smiles, and then somebody comes up and says, hey, what time are we supposed to go? And that ends the conversation. And I try to explain to her that most people stumble over the concept of the Trinity. The Mormons do, the Jehovah's Witnesses do, and obviously Muslims do. That they cannot by faith. And she was trying to tell me, but faith is not stupidity. Faith is reasonable. And I said, it is. But there also comes an element of faith of those things we cannot see that we have to simply believe because God said it. She was explaining to me, I said, well, where's your sacrifice for sin? She goes, well, there's consequences. If, for say, I commit adultery and my husband commits adultery and we commit adultery with the other couple that are married, they cut off our hand. I said, but again, where's the forgiveness? Where's the sacrifice that you've sinned? Okay, you get your hand cut off, but that doesn't forgive the sin. And we're just getting into that, and somebody came up and that interrupted the conversation. When a Muslim woman, the younger one, tells me I'm young looking, I'm handsome, when she says you're young looking and handsome and I wish you wouldn't wear those wigs, and they're polite about it. When a Muslim woman who is not in Jesus Christ can talk to me politely with respect, and then you get around Christian women who are bitchy, who are rude, who wear Jesus on their sleeve but not in their heart. And they miss all of the verses that have to deal with kind-hearted, tender-hearted, forgiving as Christ forgave. And you find most women are not kind-hearted, not tender-hearted, not forgiving as Christ, but they hold on and nurture and incubate a grudge. And they keep it going for 30 years. Case in point, my ex-wife. My ex-wife is one of the most immature women I am dealing with to this day. Totally in denial, a complete neurotic projectionist, has single-handedly ruined and turned my son against me, all by herself. She has talked so much crap about me over the years, and it's only a matter of time before she and him get into it, because that's all that's been going on for the... She's and him have had each other, and they still can't get it together. A sick woman who's happy that now my son, because I've talked about his friends, is now saying hurtful, untrue, slanderous, offensive, completely disrespecting, the kind of disrespect that would call for me to lay him out, as we used to do in the 40s, not me, but that if he'd have talked to my grandpa that way, my grandpa would have sent him packing. And now she's getting along with him because I know the M.O. Oh, good. I'm glad you're showing. Now I can go to my friends and save face. Oh, he's showing all his anger towards Dad. And now she's being nice and spoiling him and letting him go there. Never mind, he's skipping school. Or was skipping school. This is not just my story. There are millions of American men that some of which have talked to me about the horrible things their immature ex-wives have done to poison the children against them, the games they played using the children as pawns, the garbage that they started and did. godly men that have been married to women in the church, godly men in ministry, that their wives things were not good, and the husband tried to keep the marriage together, and then the girl made some false accusation, divorced the husband, and then went and told the whole church all these lies, and the whole church runs the guy out and takes the side of the women. I'd like people to find in the Bible we're supposed to take a side based on the sexes. The Bible is very clear. Let every matter be established with 2 or 3 witnesses. Do not entertain an accusation except there be witnesses. And women think that a witness is just her vocally telling a bunch of women that that's all that's needed. I'm going to tell you something, women. You're full of it. You telling a story is not evidence. It just isn't. Let's talk about a Mexican guy from Mexico City. I like him. I get along with him. He's got a very hot-looking Hispanic wife. He showed me a picture. I'm like, you're married to that? Oh, yeah. Every time I see him, he tells me a story. He says, she wouldn't even make love, man. I said, what is her problem? I don't know. He says, I came in the kitchen one day and she had no bra on and her stuff was poking through, and I just looked at her and smiled. And she goes, you're such a pervert. And I looked and said, you're my wife. Oh, you men are all pigs. How do I unpack this? Women got their nipples poking through their shirt, no bra on, and we're not supposed to notice that. We're a pig for noticing that. But it's like, if you don't want us to notice that, why didn't you put on your damn bra, lady? And American women do this all the time. As I was talking to this Muslim woman, a woman is running across the street with nothing on. It's a T-strap with just cover here. And I said, look at that over there. I said, I want your honest thoughts on the way she's dressed. She said, it's ridiculous. She goes, if she's married, why would she run out in public like that? What is she saying? What is the message she's saying to men? I said, oh, man, could I have a soundbite recording of this one from a Muslim woman? And American women are quick to condemn Muslim women. Oh, yeah, Islam, Islam. Let me tell you something. There's different stages of Islam. There are those that condone blowing up things. She actually said yesterday, she talked about ISIS. She goes, I don't support them. Now, she's trying to say they don't represent Islam. And I said, yeah, they actually do. There's moderate Islamics. There's on the edge Islamics, just like Catholics in name only or practicing Catholic. You have all different levels of people committed to Allah or not committed to Allah. She doesn't support blowing up stuff, at least to my face. And she's been very friendly to me and has accepted me as a white, non-Muslim. And could it be that she's doing that like Jehovah's Witnesses? I'm going to be nice in hopes of winning them over. That could be, but I don't sense that from her. Jehovah's Witnesses, I see that. I see that all the time. They're what I call contrived fake in hoping to win a convert. That we're going to put on a good friendly show. And Mormons are classic at that too, until you stand up to them and say, your doctrine is of demons. Then watch how sweet they are to you. Not, bye-bye. I'm not going to the BYU University, sorry. We had a lengthy discussion about the way women dress in this culture. She goes, you know, when they're showing everything, what do you think the man thinks? He's only thinking one thing. And then those same women wonder why men look at them that way. I said, American women are the biggest hypocrites in the world that way. They'll sit there and say, I have the freedom to dress any way they want. Yes, you do, women. In America, you have the freedom, but I have the freedom to say you're dressing like a whore. And if that bothers you and you get butthurt, I don't know what to tell you. Go get counseling. Because if you can't understand that when you're dressed like a slut, I'm going to think slutty thoughts, there's something wrong with you. To say all men are pigs while you're dressing like a slut, trolling is when you throw a bait in the water and you're just dragging it and your boat's going along and all the fish are going, oh, look at that. And that's what you're doing, and you know what you're doing. There's even a song, American Women. Listen to the words of that, American Women. That's my tune. Here's a girl I'm being nice to. that I have to hang up on as she's starting to falsely accuse and say, I'm not going to argue. Argue? I said, who's texting you all day? That's all I said. There was no argument. I'm not going to argue with you either. Click. I didn't even say that. But when I sent her text, hey, I won't text or call you again. You are difficult. You are hard to get along with, woman. Why did she text back? Because suddenly I'm in the driver's seat saying, I don't need you that bad, babe. You want to be a bitch? You go be a bitch all by yourself. I'm done. Oh my gosh, she's leaving. And I'm going to try something. If she brings up any more complaints about me again, I'm going to say, you know what? You have been critical of me. You have a critical spirit. And I have been nice to you. I have tried to comfort you. I've tried to soothe you. What is your problem, lady? How many men do you think are going to put up with you? You're going to die alone, and you're going to do nothing but attract men that are going to look at you for one thing, because that's all the only string you're playing is your looks, because you're not very nice. If you want a man to love on you and to take care of you and console you and comfort you, you might want to start doing some of the same. Yes, in America, if you want a woman, sometimes a man has to be a bit of a jerk and say some hard things that they don't want to hear. Because you know what I'm learning? When you're nice, they shite all over you. I'm ready to take it to the next level and say, you know what? You're being a bitch. And if you want to do that, you go find somebody who's willing to put up with that. I've heard your story. I've heard about your ex. I've heard about guys you've dated. I'm not like them. You're driving me away, and I guarantee you that after I'm gone, you're not going to find somebody that's going to sweep you off your feet that's going to be great. Yeah, you might find some biker that'll let you ride on the back of his Harley, but you're also going to get a biker mentality. The guy that's going to be rough in the bedroom with you, a guy that's going to drive you nuts, and you'll be kicking him out of your place. What do you want, lady? What do you want? I don't need that. But if I walk out of your life, I promise you, you're not going to find good after me. You know what? And it's time for us men to start saying, we're not going to be arrogant and proud and lifted up, but I'm tired of being treated as second class by American women. American women think, oh, I'm good looking, I'm hot. And a guy like me has the confidence and says, hey, I deserve better than that. I'm willing to put up with some of your stuff. I'm willing to, like an accordion, absorb some of that. And we men should. Because if you get involved with any woman, you're going to have to learn to absorb a lot. And the sad thing is that women are always good at saying all the crap they have to put up with us men, while they ignore the fact that actually we men have to do more bending than most American women do to keep things fluid and working. That is a fact. I see it here. I have watched women nag and bitch at their husbands and put them through hell. And I've watched men become a shock absorber that's constantly absorbing that and hitting bump after bump after bump. And for all the dirt and trash I hear about American men, I find that more American men are more willing to try to get through those things and try to dwell with their women with understanding while just being abused by them. And it is disgusting. I like petite, smaller women. I like women that are shorter than me, smaller breasted, small, nice, lean frames, more androgynous. I don't like the hips. I don't like the bubble butts. I like a woman whose physique straight down on the sides is more like myself. That's my preference. I like women with jet black hair. She doesn't have it. But I've been back 3 years in Pacifics trying to accept the fact I live in this culture. And you have to make lemonade when you're dealt lemons. The girl does have good qualities. Her apartment is spotless. It is clean. It is tidy. It's not full of junk. It's not full of clutter. That is huge for me. Most American women are closet maniac pigs with their spending. I don't see that with her. It's simply appointed. She's clean herself. She doesn't have bad breath. She doesn't have BO. She shaves under here. Those are good things. She's in the care industry. And it's easy to say, oh, Pacific, write her off. did God do that with me? Now, I'm only going to go so far because I'm human too. And it's like, you know what? You either get on the boat or I'm going to leave you at the dock because I'm unwrapping the lines from that bollard over there and I'm putting out to sea. You're either with me or you're not. And if I got to leave you there and go on my voyage, well, then so be it. At least it'd be more peaceful on my boat ride instead of all this bickering. And I don't bicker. American women, when men are trying to comfort you, and it may not be in the way you like, but if you're just bitching and nagging at them, this Mexican guy has admitted, I have flirted with other women. My wife won't make love to me. She's not sweet to me. She makes absolutely no effort. And he is a nice guy. I hear more men telling me their wives are dead in bed. I hear more men telling me, I try to get close to her. She doesn't want to be romantic. And the women would counter with, well, because the guy this, that. Some of the guys I know are very kind. They're hard workers. They do everything they can to please their woman, and that's not good enough. American women, instead of listening to the preacher from the pulpit, are listening to the pulpit of pop culture. And the pop culture has got an attitude. The pop culture is, I'm not going to put up with that. I'm going to sit on my velvet pillow and smart off. And if he doesn't meet up to my expectations, and you know what? We see that more and more and more. Now let's go into another area, and I touched on this in another video 2 summers ago when I was by the swimming pool in the backyard, that said that the reason a lot of men have become bisexual is because of American women. And American women don't want to hear that. But it's time to lay it out there. American women are good at blaming their embracing lesbian behavior on us men. And by the way, that's not entirely true. There are some that have been through abusive situations, either by their fathers, brothers, other significant men in their lives, exes, that they finally just go into the arms of another woman. But why is it women can hide behind that? And those same women will turn around and go, oh my gosh, 2 guys together? That is so disgusting. I've heard lesbians say that. So you think it's okay for 2 girls to be nude on nude, and it's not okay for 2 guys to be nude on nude? What part of hypocrisy do you not understand? I mean, God has flat out said unnatural. Both of it. And people get mad. My own son called me homophobic because I said, no, you're not born that way. I'm going to tell you something. There's a demonic inspired movement with this gay thing, and it is getting worse. They're trying to make, Republicans are even starting agreeing that they want to make hate speech laws. Be careful about that. In Canada, if a preacher stands up in his pulpit on Sunday morning and says homosexuality is a sin, if a homosexual is sitting in there as an offended, he can call the police and that guy can be arrested. Did you know that? It's happened. It's a fact. If we let America start censoring our speech, there's a difference between hating on somebody and causing persecution, physical harassment, destruction of property, written or verbal stuff. And I don't endorse that. I don't believe in going up to gays and saying, oh, you faggots, you fudge packers. I don't believe in doing that. But I have a right to my thoughts. They have to be in line with what God says, but I have a right to my opinions and thoughts. Do you notice that the gay community is trying to muzzle us? They want to take away our right to free speech while they have the right to have free speech to say whatever they want. They can condemn conservative Christians. They can condemn those of us that do not support their lifestyle, but yet they want to censor our speech. That's a form of communism, folks. That's a form of socialism, and that is not democracy. That is not the kind of stuff that God condones. I have met a lot of men, either through chat rooms, conversational forums, other men that I've talked to over the years, and I find an increasing number of men that are married to their wives who have let their bodies go, gotten fat, gross, and ugly, wear dowdy clothes, and are addicted to materialism. And the husbands have been honest, said, I just can't get into her anymore. I just can't get inspired to do it with her anymore. That's one. The guys don't want to go out and have an affair because their wife would just rake them over the coals for it. So a subtle shift has changed. Well, if I don't go out and have sex, but I just do this bi thing, she'll never know. And, nobody's gotten pregnant. There's no yucky feelings involved that, I can go and, there was a group called Circle Jerks years ago. The term Circle Jerks originates from a bunch of guys. I think it started in New York City, but I'm not sure. Guys pull down their pants and all masturbate in front of each other and squirt into a bucket in the center of the group. A circle. Disgusting. Pacific has done his own things. We're not going to get into that. But men want to be validated. There's something wrong when other men go up and go, gosh, you got a nice, and they tell you complimentary things. And it's not that I'm attracted to men. I went through my phase of going through that because I was validated. And it's too easy for the Christian church to go, oh, homosexual. I'm not homosexual. I define homosexual as somebody who is literally a man being into men. Bisexual is one who is into men and women, both sexes. Curiosity is different. It can be, well, geez, and I'm going to say something, that there are guys that are not attracted to the looks of a man, but either like the touch or the thrill of exposing themselves and feeling comfortable enough to, can I just say it, masturbate in front of somebody else. That guys can sit there and look at porn and sit there and go. A lot of this is happening because American women have pushed men to do this. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not condoning it. But I have found my own experiences when I feel all the feelings of man wanting to, when a man loves a woman, and you can't because they won't let you. When women push us away, when good-looking women are flaunting it all day and I'm horny, and I'm like, wow, look at that. And they snub you, and they snub you, and they snub you, and you can go down to a park, and you can take off your shirt, and men are looking at you going, gosh, you got a nice chest, you're good looking, and you start going, I don't want to date with a man. I don't want to BF him. That's butt. I don't want to do anal. I don't want to lick or, I don't want to do that stuff. Men, women are constructed different. The Bible says it is not good for man to be alone, and wrapped up in that statement is some of this as well. Men are wired differently, and men can get so horny that just a breeze blowing by in their underwear can make them hard. Fact. I have a friend from Mammoth Elementary School. We're still friends. He's a truck driver. He is not gay, but he and I have men discussions a lot. He says, gosh, remember when we were in junior high that just the wind blowing by would give you a woody? I said, oh gosh. I said, remember those gay little shorts we had to wear in PE, those yellow gold shorts that were so thin that if anybody had an erection, everybody saw it? He goes, gosh, I hated that. I'm sitting in gym class with girls stretching and their shirts lifting up here, and you're seeing everything, and they're bending over and you can see nipples and everything, and I'm stretching and I'm suddenly feeling something rise below, and those shorts would be pitched like a tent, and I find myself sitting like this, and my friend saw that and says, look, he's holding. I said, shut up. Don't you dare say a word. Yes, I'm holding it down. Down, boy. I'm going to tell you something. We men grew up with some rough stuff. In the locker room, people stand around comparing penis sizes. You're in there, I go in there. I'm not even thinking that. I want to get my pants on and get out of there. Get out of those stupid little fruity tooty shorts. And guys are in there, messing around. And boy, you talk about self-esteem issues, and you talk about stuff that causes neurosis. I'll never forget when other guys, look, he's got hair. He's got hair. Oh, gosh, you guys are looking at that? You guys are sick. I don't want to see that. I'm here to get dressed and get out of here. What are you all doing staring at everybody's butt in the shower and they're, ugh. I'm telling you, junior high is a weird age. The lines are being blurred today. And a lot of that is in large part A lot of that is in large part to the way women are treating men today. And people ask me, I find it funny, the vitriolic hatred that women exercise on my channel, that I have to finally block them, report them, because it's just abusive, foul, immature speech, that I'm being condemned for airing my experiences and views on what I go through with American women, and they give me crap for that. Oh, but you guys can bitch till the cows come home about American men, how crappy they are, how bad they are. And we've heard this mantra for 30, 40 years. And I'm sitting here going, gosh, I'm not like that. I'm not rough in the bedroom. I don't come home with BO. I don't bristle up against a woman and cut into her face when I kiss her. If I do kiss her and I've got stubble, I'm very careful. Let's talk about the difference between American women. There's a woman I hooked up with in Idaho. I met her on Craigslist. She was a little bit heavier, but she was sexy. She was cute. She had long blondish hair. She lived in Coeur d'Alene. And she said, oh my gosh, you're so good looking. And I'm not going to get into details. I'm not bragging. I'm simply using the experiences to speak. I'm not saying these things pleased God. They didn't. But I'll call her Shauna. I had my truck was in much nicer shape and still had the running boards, no dents or rust or anything. And I met her, Spokane Valley. We went at a restaurant. She pulls up in one of the Dodge Chargers that was the color of my car, or my truck. I got out and I said, good color choice. She goes, oh my gosh. And I, for one fleshly moment, thought, oh, our vehicles would look so good together. She agreed. We went to lunch, and she did have a sexiness about her. The next time we met, we fooled around in my truck. Fooled around so much that we parked at the head of a trail, and there was nobody there. It was in the woods, and we're there buck naked in my truck, and guess what? Some SUV pulls up, and they start unloading their bikes, and I have no tinted windows, and I'm like, oh, great. She's laying underneath me. I grab my hoodie, throw it over my butt. I lay over her, throw my shirt over her. Said, we're just going to lay there until they leave, because the minute we get up, they're going to see everything. And she's sitting there giggling, going, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. I said, but it's fun, isn't it? I don't know these people. I don't care. But we need to make sure they get out of here quickly, because if they got a cell phone, they could call on us, and who knows what would happen. As soon as they got out down the trail, we put our clothes on and left and continued doing it somewhere else. She was passionate. I mean, her fingers through my hair, the whole thing. She was not a 10. But she moved me. My experience has been, she was white too. But even then, something happened that made me wonder. She called me one night. She goes, you want to come down here to Coeur d'Alene? I said, sure, I'll take you to dinner. And I liked her. She was a bit heavier, but I liked her. Her daughter had an outing one night, so she would not be there. We were at her house, and we made love. And I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something very blunt, and many of my viewers are like, gosh, you got to tell these details. Yes, I do. She goes, oh my gosh, you're the only guy that can reach me over and over again. I've been with guys, and none of them, my ex-husband, you are such a good lover. Oh my gosh. I admit, I was intoxicated with her. She was a nice girl. She was a manager at a large grocery store. Yes, she was a Christian, and we were living in sin. We made love that night. And it was getting late. We laid around and talked, and I said, well, I better let you go. And when I got up to leave, we walked down the hall, and I noticed her countenance changed. I'm like, whoa, what happened? When to leave, I said, hey, I'll see you later. She goes, yeah, take care. And she suddenly got real serious, real cold. I shut the door and I left. And the next morning, I sent her an email because it would go right to her phone. And I said, you okay? She goes, oh, I'm running late. I'll have to get back to you later. Then I get an email that shocked me. I'm really sorry. You're one of the nicest guys I've ever met. We made love last night. I didn't know it, but my daughter, for whatever reason, ended her outing and came home. I saw her backpack leaning against the wall right around the entryway. That's why I suddenly got all stiff. She said that her daughter the next morning lambasted her and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I was going to go say hi to you, and I hear you guys in the bedroom, and I think my mom's a whore. I said, oh, wow. And I said, you know what? I said, yeah, that's bad. I said, why don't you just sit down and say, yeah, we got carried away. And the daughter liked me, by the way. She said, man, Mom, you finally found one of the nicer guys you could go out with. I respect him. I said, why don't you sit down and explain to your daughter you're human and you didn't know she was coming, and I'll come down and we can have a talk and say, you know, we're really sorry. She didn't want to do that. And she said, I'm so sorry to do this to you, but I can never see you again. Boom! Cut off. Just like that. Many of you guys would have theories, well, maybe she just wanted a quickie and she's lying. Who knows? From what little I ascertained from her, I didn't find that at all. She was really into me. We'd gone on quite a few dates. So Pacific goes back from that, and I'm wounded because I bonded with her. We were sitting at the top of a waterfall one day, and I remember the wind was blowing through her hair. She had long, beautiful hair, and she was cute. She was attractive, even though she was a little bit bigger of a woman. And the reason I tell you that is because everybody thinks Pacific is looking for a Barbie girl. She was so affectionate, so sweet on me. I leaned up against a boulder. I had my arms around her, and she was leaning against my chest with my shirt off. And I just looked at her and said, gosh, you're so sexy. And she puts her arm back and touched my head. She goes, gosh, and you are too. I share this story so that American women will stop throwing out that same old bullcrap. Oh, you just hate American women. No, I don't. Yes, it was wrong. Yes, it wasn't God-honoring. But I've tried. I told you about a petite. She had a beautiful tan. Girl that I fell for hard in Duluth. I was in my 20s. She was a month from 18, and she came on to me, and she was a camp counselor on my bus for the summer YMCA program. She flirted with me. She came on to me, and she goes, what are you doing tonight after everybody was off the bus? I said, I'm going home. She knew where I lived because every day I stopped shifting gears and going up the hill. I said, there's my place. 1 West 4th Street, big old billboard on the front. It used to be a corner store. Now, a duplex, upper, lower apartment. I lived on the top floor. She said, my dad will drop me off. I said, your dad knows that, that I'm driving your bus and I'm older. Yeah, I told him about you, and he said, sounds like he's a nice guy. All I got to do is tell him he'll drive me to town. Like, shoot, parents are okay with it. I'm going out with her. I wasn't hugely older than her. I was in my mid-20s then, and she was never bitchy. She was never rude. She wasn't as affectionate as I was, I will tell you that. but she loved the affection I gave her. We'd go walk along Lake Superior, hand in hand. We'd go swimming. It will shock you. She was the first girl I ever made love with. And remember, I told you I'd been married to wife number one. We never made love. We never had sex. Couldn't go into her. I thought there was something wrong with me. It wasn't. God has protected me from a lot of stuff. For the amount of mercy he showed me, I'm humbled, because other people go out and they get involved with a woman. They do it once. They're pregnant, falling out, child support. I thank God he didn't let me get her pregnant. The first wife. But I was dumb. I listened to a Christian friend of mine. I'm making love with her, and I get a knock at the door. My curtain's shut in the bedroom, and I said, I'm not answering that door. I know who it is. And he's knocking and banging and knocking and banging and knocking and banging. This was a guy who came out of the homosexual lifestyle, still struggling with it, who's married to his overweight, obese wife, who was not pretty, who was very awful to him. But he had been awful to her for years, so just a little karma there. God used me to disciple him, but then he felt that he needed to hold me accountable and got on this accountability trip, and he would drive 25 miles from where he lived out in the country and come down and check up on me. And we did a lot of hanging out together. And then he called my phone. And even my girlfriend says, man, does he give you your privacy? I said, oh no, he wouldn't condone what I'm doing. She goes, well, it's really none of his business. I said, oh no. And believe it or not, Sarah started coming to church with me. And I was stupid. My friend said, you shouldn't be dating a non-Christian. In many ways, he's irrational today. He became very self-righteous. We don't talk. I don't have anything to do with him. As he started growing closer, and I use that word in quotes, to Christ, he started becoming more obsessed with his kingdom. Convinced his wife to sell the beautiful home they had, partition that as 5-acre parcel, sell that and keep the remaining 35, because they're on a 40-acre lot. And he convinced her to let him build a new Taj Mahal with a separate outbuilding called the studio, which he would go and spend most of his time in there away from her. And I watched him go from complete nymphomania towards guys to burying himself in getting deeply in debt, on the order of close to $1 million, putting in the best of materials, being obsessed with being a workaholic, building his kingdom. And I saw that play out when he helped me remodel my house, and he started condemning me because I wouldn't spend money the way he's used to spending money. Well, you got $250,000, man. Why, what are you going to do with it? I said, keep some of it in the bank. Well, you can't take it with you, man. You know what? That's a decision that my wife and I need to make, not you. I hired you on, and you're trying to tell me how to spend my money? I don't think I should spend $3,500 for a stove, Jeff. There were problems all the way around, and I started to realize if my mentoring and my discipling has turned him into a beast of a person where he's so self-righteous, and I kept hearing this as years, I'm going to have to break fellowship with this guy. He won't go to church anymore. Could you show me in here where it says break fellowship with somebody who stopped going to church? And I watched him start insulating and isolating himself from everybody, but burying himself in his rampant materialistic kingdom. Bitching and complaining about how he doesn't love his wife, how his wife is this and his wife is that. I said, you know what? It would be better for you to divorce her and walk on than do what you're doing. No, I can't. I can't break covenant. Dude, you've broken covenant how many times with man after man after man? You had men in the living room doing it with them when she came home from work. And I don't understand for the life of me why she went to her bedroom and continued to live with you when you were doing that. You may ask, did you ever do anything with him, Pacific? Nope. But I remember a story He used to do everything for me. He built me this bookshelf for all my Titanic memorabilia and stuff. He made a stained glass lamp for me that I have up in Colville, Washington. He'd take me to dinner. He'd wine and dine me. And I thought, wow, what a great friend. It wasn't till years later when I started looking in retrospect that he still had lust. And I was dating a girl, and the girl was very controlling and possessive and immature. And she came over to my apartment one day, and I couldn't get her to leave. She was being a pill, and I said, you know what? You need to go. And she would not leave. She did a sit-out in my kitchen. It was so bad that I'm trying to be quiet, and the neighbor lady knocks on my door and says, what's going on over here? I said, you know what? I'm glad you came. You want to tell this young lady to get out of my apartment? We're having a disagreement, and I've asked her to leave, and she won't. A 70-year-old woman named Louise walks right over and says, look at yourself. Do you have any dignity? You're sitting out on his kitchen floor and won't move. He's asked you to leave. You want to make your point. This is his apartment. He pays the rent. You don't live here. Get up and go. And it was only after that she got up and she goes, I have never been so embarrassed in my life. I said, you're embarrassing me in front of the whole apartment building because they hear you carrying on. But before that happened, she called my friend from my phone. He's asking me to leave, and she did not live there. She came over to visit for part of the day, and I don't even remember what the disagreement was about. It was just, I can't even remember. It was just stupid. My friend says, don't do this to her. She's such a sweet girl. I'll come over and suck you off. I'll do anything. Yo, what? I couldn't believe what I just heard. I said, oh, no. I said, Jeff, you and I've talked about there's problems here. You even agreed. I'm not doing anything to her. I tried to physically pick her up under her armpits and carry her out the door, and she pulled down so that I couldn't lift her. Yeah, Pacific has dated some real doozies, let me tell you. My friendship with Jeff ended after 14 years because I became too dependent on him, almost like the way two women get on the phone. And instead of going to God, I went to him more, and he went to me more than going to God about all of his personal struggles. And after 14 years of that, you just finally said, man, I can't listen to this anymore. I can't do this. If your wife is that bad and she's such a terror to you, divorce her. And I'm going to say something to Christians. Christians are so worried about offending God, but yet daily they offend and offend and offend and offend. And they're worried about the one big act of breaking covenant with an unbelieving wife who's you can't say anything good about her, and you're forcing yourself to excruciatingly put up with her. Yes, the Bible has parameters for divorce. But if you think 30 years of bitching and complaining about her is better than divorcing her, I got news for you, partner. God is not going to be pleased with that either. You might say, well, Pacific, are you condoning divorce? If you can't stop bitching about it, and you can't make love to her, and you won't make love to her, I'd say it's time to go. Because you're still making your little trips to the park and hooking up with men. And he finally quit doing all that, and then he became the moral police. Finally, one day I said, you know what? You need to stop holding me accountable and policing every aspect of my life. Well, I know what you're doing, and so what? Let God deal with that. And I let Sarah go because I was so convinced he was so right. And the Bible is true. Do not be unequally yoked. But she was coming to church with me, and she was reading the Bible. She was a happy girl. She was a nice girl. She was a good American woman. And she was white. And she was hot. One of the best looking white girls I had ever dated in my life. Hands down. I've done some dumb things myself. I've dated girls that weren't that pretty. I was curious to see what they were like, and even went to bed with some, and sorry, hair under the arms, BO. Oof, I didn't know she had all that going on. Yeah, I don't like hairy armpits on a woman. I dated a woman when I started at my workplace. Sandy blonde hair, big busted, nice physique. She liked me. First time we pulled over to school and we started talking, I could tell by the way she's looking at me. I'm like, she's into me. We get done driving our bus routes, we go sit in my truck, and she'd start going, I'm like, what are you doing? She'd just smile at me, and I said, oh, don't do that. So yeah, we started fooling around, and I went up to her place on Lookout Mountain, and we cooked lunch, and we proceeded to make love. Drop dead gorgeous, and then she says, I don't shave under my arms. I'm like, oh, really? And I did. I tried to look past it, and I still made love to her, but that was tough for me. Then she started talking about her liberal viewpoints, pro-Obama, thought that it should be okay to legalize pot. And when she found out I didn't vote for Obama, she goes, if I had known you didn't vote for Obama, I never would have dated you. And one day she asked what I was doing. I said, oh, I was reading in the Bible something really cool. She texts back. She goes, well, if you want to believe your little fairy tales, I'm just not into that. And I texted her back. I said, seeing as you think that what I believe in is fairy tales, I said, I think it's pretty clear that we don't belong together, and therefore my involvement with you is over. Yes, Pacific is compromised. Pacific has sinned. And I'm going to say something very bold. Liberalism is destroying women in this country. It is ruining them. It has opened the door for out and outright promotion of lesbian behavior. It is openly declared open season on American males. Liberalism is destructive. It is counter to Christian viewpoint. It is counter to Scripture. And I want to tell you that when I meet man after man in this country who is good to their wife, who suddenly starts having affairs on the side, who finally starts checking out of the marriage, but is afraid to divorce because they don't want to go to court and get nailed for child support and alimony and everything else. And I don't know why American women can't look at their own actions and what they're doing. That women, it says in the Bible, your body is not your own. Women think that their body is for themselves, and Jesus says you are not your own. You've been bought with a price. Let me see if I can find it. Now concerning verse 7, or chapter 7 of 1 Corinthians 7, verse 1, now concerning things about which you wrote, it is good for a man not to touch a woman, but because of immoralities, let each man have his own wife, and let each woman have her own husband. Let the husband fulfill his duty to his wife, and likewise also the wife to her husband. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does, and likewise also the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. Do you know what that's saying? Now, that does not allow for rape and abusive and undignifying behavior in the bedroom. If your wife doesn't like something that you're doing, you need to stop it. But if your husband's looking at you because you're standing there with no bra and he's checking you out, and you turn around and call him a pervert, you are in the wrong. Be glad your husband's looking at you. Because if you keep pushing him away, he will look at somebody else. And then you'll be one of those typical American women. Oh, he had an affair on me. He cheated on me. You made him do it, babe. How dare you say I made him do it? That's a choice. He'll be able to. You're going to be held accountable for pushing him that direction. You know, the Bible says, fathers, do not provoke your children unto wrath. In that statement, there's a lot. That means that we are capable of provoking somebody to wrath. Therefore, I can make a very easily, without making it walk on all fours, a principle that women, you can provoke men to wrath. Men can provoke women to wrath. Women can provoke men to finally get so discouraged that they go off and try bicurious or go have sex with another woman, because if you're being a bitch and you're being a nag and you're denying your husband when he's feeling those urges and you're denying him, you're setting the stage for trouble. Stop depriving each other. Verse 5, stop depriving one another, except by agreement for a time, that you may devote yourselves to prayer and come together again, lest Satan tempt you because of your lack of self-control. You know why it says that? If you don't come together, that man's going to find somebody to come together with, whether it's another man, whether it's another woman, whether it's pornography, whether it's his own hand. And women are doing it too. Don't kid yourself. I'm afraid that American women have more zeal and passion for materialism, outfits, SUVs, consumerism than they do for, I'm going to be honest, mad, passionate, sweaty, hot sex with their man. I've heard enough over and over that women are just not good in bed, because America has promoted sex. The movies promote sex. The whole pop culture promotes sex. And I'm going to say something by my own experiences. There's a difference between having sex with a girl and making love. When I went to Asia, I made love. When I was with Sarah, I made love. When I was with Shauna, I made love. I've had plenty of sex. Why do Filipinas choose white guys? The other side of that coin, the good-hearted Filipinas, I have one right now, telling me how alone she is. 50 years old, never been married, slender, plain Jane, but cute to me. She goes, I'm so alone. I sew school uniforms. I have no man to love me. She tells me I'm guapo every time we chat. You think I'm handsome? Yes. How come American women don't tell me that? I look in the mirror with my shirt off, I'm getting ready, and I'm like, I don't think I'm a dog. And I still sometimes maintain a belief that if I'm going to meet a woman, I'm going to meet her through this channel. Unfortunately, a couple of them that told me I'm decent looking and they like my views are hooked up with a boyfriend. One that I saw that actually has long black hair, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's cute. And she's a white woman. Pacific is at a point in his life where it's not about Asian. It's about a woman that has heart, a woman who's sexy to me, and she thinks I'm sexy to her. But we're living in a time where people just make choices that don't. I just can't understand them. Choices to be involved with bad men. Choices to be involved with women, or men that just aren't going to love them the way I would. No, with me, you're not going to get 5-star hotels and 5-star restaurant and cruise trips every year. You're not. I got to work. Life is hard. What you will get is if I can buy a house, if I could, then a man's going to come home and love all over you and be so glad to see you at the end of his day. And it has become very, very, very predictable. It has become, it's a generalization I can safely make based on experiences and talking to many people and watching this play out. The really good-looking white women, moody, bitchy, the small petites, rude, conceited, as a rule. And I ask myself, why is that? How come some of the best women to me were like Shauna in Idaho? Little bit more chunkiness, but yet drove me wild. Affectionate, passionate, complimentary to me. I don't understand why men get involved with prostitutes. I tried that years ago. You want to talk about sex, that's all that is. There's no passion there. Those women don't give a damn about you. The Bible says the prostitute reduces you to a loaf of bread. Tell yourself that when you go down the street and see one of those hookers go, and just turn around and go, no thanks. People ask me, would you do a prostitute? No. I'm done. Got it out of my system. No desire. They don't love you. They love your money. My experience with the prostitutes, they charge $100 and they want to be done in 20 minutes. That's pretty damn good money. And you start getting close to some of those girls, they look pretty from a distance, but they're not so pretty when you get their clothes off. Because Pacific has tried things, I found out, nope, I don't want that. It's not a conventional approach to Christian living, that's for sure. I would never tell everybody, oh, go sow your oats, get it out of your system, and then come back to God. There's consequences for our choices. There's a hardness that takes place, callousing of the heart, of jadedness. There's a whole host of things that we don't even see or think about that can come as a spin-off. God has been merciful to Pacific over and over. Some guy goes out and has sex once, gets her pregnant. She becomes a real biatch and harasses him for the rest of her life. And I've done it with how many women, and only got one pregnant, and I am paying the price. And I was legitimately married to her. And I struggled. So I'm struggling right now, viewers, with prayer. Because sometimes I feel like, in my limited thinking, I sit there and go, I'm tired of begging God to do something. It seems so silly that I should just be able to ask him and petition him once and then pray about other things. I don't see a change for the better in my son. I don't see a change for the better in my ex-wife. And I go, God, why are you allowing them to continue to believe they're right, be so rude, and keep on going like this while creating more collateral damage? Why? But why does God allow Pacific to go to Hong Kong and make love to 1 woman, 2 women, 3 women, 4 women, 10 women? Why? Why does God allow a Joel Osteen to rake in huge profits and have a 32,000 square foot home? Or Joyce Myers or Benny Hinn? Why? Why does it allow some of you men to strike and hit your wife and get away with it? I'm at a point in my life where we're really starting to learn now that God is not in a nice, neat little box. The people who have that haven't matured. The people at Frozen Chosen Baptist Church that have their cushy, materialistic, middle-class jobs and are filling their homes with stuff, and their kids sit around and watch Veggie Tales, and we're going to have wholesome family entertainment, those people don't get it. They're not close to Jesus at all. They're in a religious fervor mode. They're in a, wow, God's blessing me. I tithe. He gives me more money and I can buy that new SUV. Wow, that's a relationship that's enthralling with the living Creator. No. God is showing me that, Pacific, you don't manipulate me. I don't do everything you want me to do. And isn't that what a lot of relationships are based on today? Take a look at girls' postings on American dating sites. I want a man who... fill in the blanks. You don't see women saying, I want to massage my man's back when he comes home from work. I want to put my arms around him. I want to kiss on his ear. I want to make him food. I want to make him feel like $1 million. I want him to know that I value him. And you don't see what women are offering. And what does Jesus do? Come to me, all you that labor and are heavy laden. Take my yoke upon you, it's easy. Wow, what does that mean? It means we don't have to work to merit God's favor, that it's grace, it's a gift of God, that we simply open our hands and say, yes, Lord, thank you for forgiving me. Thank you for dying for me. But the Christian fleshing out of our Christian walk, that's the rub. I don't know why God doesn't come down and take both those two to the horse barn and give them a swat. My son talking to me the way he talked to me the last 2 counseling sessions, atrocious. Can I be honest? If we were back in the 40s, I would have knocked his chair flat to the floor. I would have pinned his chest to the floor and said, with my knee in it, you talk to me like that one more time, you're going to be lucky if you make it out of the ER. People would watch this video today and go, oh my gosh, he just threatened. I did not threaten, because I can't do that. I will not break the law. I'm not going to go to jail over my son and my ex. Hell no. It bothers me. I have done nothing to warrant that kind of rage and vitriolic hatred. And I know what triggered it. He now thinks it's okay. He now thinks that he's born that way. He has a hatred towards God, the things of God. Then I've had to put myself in a different mindset and said, that may be your son, but you got to go back into Scripture, Pacific. Marvel not that the world will hate you. That boy is of the world and he hates you. Doesn't matter that you're his father. Jesus said, I come not to bring peace, but a sword. Man's own enemies will be the members of his own household. There are some of the wags that will come on the channel. Well, you weren't there. You weren't. I know a lot of men that were not even there at all in any capacity. Just abandoned. Kids turned out just fine. What the focal point needs to be is, what did mother do since the divorce? But talk garbage. Stand there with the bellows of hate. Your dad, your dad, your dad. And it's combustionated, blown up, and it's flammable. God will get her. I don't know how he's going to do it or when he's going to do it. But like Venus Star told me, do you think that God doesn't see the inconsistencies of what that woman has done and your son? Do you think he's just going to stand? I said, well, it sure appears like he's not moving his hand. And I have to come back to, and that's where the lesson is. Why is he not moving his hand? What's the lesson here for me? Do I keep begging? Do I keep pleading? Excuse me. I'll be honest. Sometimes I go, that's pathetic. Oh, God, please, 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 please. It's like a little girl. Daddy, Daddy, can I have that? Can I have that balloon? Please get me that balloon, Daddy, Daddy. And pulling her pant leg. Do we got to do that with God? Sometimes I think that's pathetic. But yet, when we really want something bad enough, what do? We find ourselves praying over and 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 over. God, I pray that you give me this job. God, please, 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 please. So is prayer about manipulating God? People say prayer does good. What does that mean? I think Americans, if we're honest, prayer means I get my way. When things are in our nice, neat little materialistic box, oh, I got my SUV, I made my payment, and got my dog and my family, we go to church on Sunday and we're moral. That's not a relationship with God, folks. You're comfortable. Unbelievers can be comfortable and have that same effect that you're having. And just like I talk about American women are passionate, are we as Christians passionate towards God? And can I be honest? I think most of us, we're honest, it is no. It's like the difference between sex and making love. Most of us Americans have had sex, but most of us have never made love. I have, but some of you have never made love in your life. A lot of us are born-again Christians, but we don't have a passionate, vibrant relationship with the living God. And it's showing. It's showing. It's showing in our behavior, it's showing in our inconsistencies, it's showing in a whole host of ways. And how do we get there? One of the things that enters into our society as a whole that's very damaging and destructive to us is this hedonism. That's one. Materialism. That's two. And that we are a godless society. And Christians are no exception. They're godless as well. And they don't like to say that. Well, you're in Jesus. Of course you're in Jesus, but your behavior is still godless. You still live your life godless. That somehow we haven't got enough passion in ourselves to really be changed. Let's talk about Song of Solomon. Chapter 1, verse 1, the Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. May he kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. Your oils have a pleasing fragrance. Your name is like purified oil. Therefore the maidens love you. Draw me after you, and let us run together. The king has brought me into his chamber, bedroom. We will rejoice in you and be glad. We will extol your love more than wine. Rightly did they love you. I am black, but lovely. O daughters of Jerusalem, like the tents of Kedar, like the curtains of Solomon, do not stare at me because I am swarthy. She was tanned because she worked in the fields. Back then, it was more a sign of purity to be white. For the sun has burned me. My mother's sons were angry with me. They made me caretaker of the vineyards. Here's a woman who didn't get to grow up in the house. She had to be sent out to work. Tell me, O you whom my soul loves, where do you pasture your flock? Where do you make it lie down at noon? For why should I be like one who veils herself beside the flocks of your companions? While the king was at his table, my perfume gave forth its fragrance. My beloved is to me a pouch of myrrh which lies all night between my breasts. You cannot get more graphic. We talk about pornography and filthy talk. This isn't filthy talk. This is extremely sensual and seductive. And I will tell you that most women today don't have that in them in this country. Not at all. I had an Asian woman who was 29 who looked like she was 16 years old. Small-breasted, beautiful. Sit on my chest, buck naked, and she's going like this. And I'm like, oh, gosh, she's so erotic. And I find that women are provocative in their dress. And most American women are afraid to go like this. They got their arms like this. They're rigid. They don't know how to make out passionately. They don't know how to love. And you read this in Song of Solomon, these two are getting into it. Verse 16, chapter 1, how handsome you are, my beloved, and so pleasant. Indeed, our couch is luxuriant. The beams of our houses are cedars, our rafters cypresses. Why do they notice that stuff? Because they're on the bed looking up at each other and seeing the woodwork. I am the rose of Sharon, the lily of the valleys, like a lily among the thorns, so is my darling among the maidens. Like an apple tree among the trees of the forest, so is my beloved among the young men. In his shade I took great delight and sat down, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. He has brought me to his banquet hall, and his banner over me is love. You know what's funny is people pull that verse out and apply that to God. Now, God is our banner. But this is talking about two lovers. Sustain me with raisin cakes. Refresh me with apples because I am lovesick. Now, I'm sorry. Today we read that and people giggle and go, refresh me with apples. We have moved so far away from the language of this that we can't grasp it. And it takes study. Let his left hand be under my head and his right hand embrace me. I'm sorry, but when a man is making love with a woman, he cradles her head and is really, there's a difference. People that are just into sex, there is no intimacy in sex. I know. I've been down that road. It's an orgasm. And when the orgasm's over, your love for that woman is gone. Let me see your form, let me hear your voice, and your voice is sweet, and your form is lovely. Catch the foxes for us, the little foxes that are ruining the vineyards, while our vineyards are in blossom. My beloved is mine, and I am his. He pastures his flock among the lilies, until the cool of the day, when the shadows flee away. Turn, my beloved, and be like a gazelle, or a young stag on the mountains of Bethar. Let's see if I can find this. Your lips are like a scarlet thread, and your mouth is lovely. Your temples are like a slice of a pomegranate behind your veil. Your neck is like the Tower of David, built with rows of stones, on which are hung a thousand shields. Your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle, which feed among the lilies. It says elsewhere, your breasts are like towers. I'm sorry, but these two are getting erotic. And people Bible scholars want to be so conservative. Well, this is talking about God's love for Israel. No, it isn't. It's talking about two lovers. And it's sad. I read something here that this has been a problem for many centuries. See if I can find it. We have a little sister, verse 8 of chapter 8. We have a little sister, and she has no breasts. What shall we do for our sister on the day when she is spoken for? If she is a wall, we will build on her a battlement of silver. If she is a door, we shall barricade her with planks of cedar. I don't know what all that means, but even back then, people looked on flat-chested women. I don't know if there's something wrong with me, but I like those kind. I really do. They turn me on. I have been with any number of women. I have been with women that are very well endowed, to women who have a rise at about that much. I like the petite, small women. That's just me. Different strokes for different folks, whatever floats your boat. The purpose in this video, and I got away from something. Filipinos also choose men because they know that there's a lot of white men that will love them. There are Filipinos that just want a man to love them. They're not about the money. They're not about the visa. They're not about prestige. But sadly, almost every foreign woman that comes over to America in time gets ruined and corrupted by this culture of entitlement, self-centeredness, and demanding more and more and kicking their men to the curb. I love America, but I don't love that. And I look at the evidence over and over of guys that I've talked to. I look at, a classic 40 to 50-year-old American woman, stressed, uptight, rigid, doesn't know how to have passionate fun. Her idea of passionate fun is, hey, let's go to Starbucks and have a latte. Boy, I get so tired of hearing that flaky conversation, or going to the mall. That when I watched The Longest Ride and I see the way the cowboy interacts with the college girl, and I go, that is gone from our society. We see it on the screen, but in reality it's not there. I see rigid couples going to church on Sunday wearing their Sunday best. I see the couple in their SUV going to the mall, and the man walking around boring and dweeby looking with his boring dweeby wife with her boring dowdy clothes with all her bags of crap dangling from her arm. And I go, do you guys ever go to the beach and chase each other and splash water at each other and roll around and tickle each other and flirt? Probably not. And we wonder why porn just escalates in the U.S. because we were made for something more. And it's easy for women to say, oh, men are pigs. Women are looking at porn too. I talked to several women in my world, via the online world, whatever, that have admitted I'm aroused by two women. Why wouldn't they be? Because materialism doesn't arouse you. Materialism can't make love to you. That cabinet you just bought, that car you just bought, it can't meet your deepest sensual need. Only your man, women, can do that. Only your woman, men, can do that. You can have an orgasm with the same sex. But there's nothing but limitations with that because God made it that way. And in this day and age where everybody's saying it's okay to be gay and it's okay to be lesbian, it's okay to be bi, I'm going to tell you it's not okay. I'm going to tell you that the Word of God does not say that. We understand that we're in a fallen society and God is not going to look at you for having those feelings and condemn you. He's going to nail you for acting on it. It's okay to go to Him and say, yes, I admit I struggle with these feelings. But to go the extra mile and start saying it's okay for two people to be married of the same sex, it's okay to live with your boyfriend, men, and girls living with their girlfriend, that is not pleasing to God. And there are Christians who are embracing this lifestyle and going to church on Sunday with their same-sex lover thinking that God smiles on that. He does not. He does not. There are a host of factors as to why people do what they do. And a lot of male bisexualities come as a result of wives that don't make love to their husbands, wives that once, and this has been said to me by many American men, do you ever notice how American women look good until they get married? And then they let themselves go. Women, you complain about us men, you say a lot of crap about us, but when you let yourself go and you gain weight and you wear ugly clothes and you got BO and you got bad breath and you're too lazy to shave your underarms, too lazy to shave your legs, and too lazy to make yourself look attractive to us, don't start getting all upset when that man starts looking somewhere else. I don't mean to be rude, but when you let yourself become a dead carcass, I don't want to have sex with that. No thanks. I can't make love with that. I can't get into that. That's a turnoff. Just as you women complain about men coming home from work sweaty, and there's different women. Some women like it when their husband comes in all dirty and sweaty, pulls his shirt off, and she goes, make love to me just like that. Some women like that. I'm not that way. I'm a clean guy. I'm going to shower first, and then you're in trouble, lady. Because after I get out of the shower, you're mine. Everybody's different. That's not for me to judge. What goes on in the bedroom between a couple is their business. You just can't bring other people in there. You can't do anything that's demeaning to your mate. Your mate doesn't like it, and you just go ahead and do it, you're being selfish. And while we're on that subject, I want to say some things. Some men are just rude. I've had a man ask me, have you ever come all over her face? No, and I will not do that. Can I be very honest? That stuff to me is as demeaning as it gets. I am not going to shoot a load on a woman's face. How demeaning, how insensitive, how undignifying is that? Now, somebody might ask me, what if my wife wants me to? If your wife wants you to do that and she gets off on that and you're both complicit to that, that's your business. For me, I'm not going to do that. Everybody's different. Pain, sadomasochism, beating each other, tying each other with whips and chains, that, I'm going to say it, and people aren't going to like me for that. That is demonic. Hurting for sexual pleasure. Now, I'm not talking about fuzzy handcuffs and the girl walking in dressed like a schoolgirl in a school uniform and being all sensual, that kind of role playing. That's your business. Some of that stuff's a little weird to me, but that's your business. That harms nobody. That's consensual between you two. I'm not the one that's going to police your bedroom. It's not my job. I had a girl tell me the other day, a coworker tell me that she gave head to her husband, who is a cop, while he's driving the car down the highway. Now, me personally, I wouldn't recommend that. That could cause an accident. The car's not the place, especially when you're driving down the road where the people can look in and see. Sometimes people get bold and brazen with what they do, and I sometimes go, you know what? We need to be careful that what we do is in our bedroom or in the privacy away from others, because you don't need to be spilling that out into the streets. And I've seen some crazy stuff. I dated a woman from Nicaragua in Spokane years ago. And we got in my truck and we're down at the Spokane River, and she whipped her shirt and bra off and sat there, and I'm like, okay. And I'm driving down the road. I said, man, you need to put your shirt on, because this is going to cause a problem. And if a cop sees that, we are so dead. She was well endowed too. I admit it was fun. That was fun, but me, I'm a driver. That's distracting. I've done some crazy things. I don't believe that my views are off the wall. I don't believe they're off the charts. I believe that what I see is accurate. And I think American women do need to look at themselves, and they need to take a long look at themselves and say, you know, you are contributing to this big mess of dysfunction. That guys like me, there's not a lot of us either. I'm passionate. I'm willing to do what I need to do for her. And women are rude. And last night, when she's saying, out of the blue, she just suddenly throws that in there, you text me all day. I did not text you all day. That's a lie. And I simply said, who texted you all day? I said, did I hear that right? I'm not going to argue with you. Argue? Women, will you learn to not exaggerate? Will you learn to be contextually accurate? But I did. I hung up. I thought, you know what? The only thing I can do now is I'm not even going to defend myself. Just click. And then I texted her that text. You are a very hard woman to get along with. I didn't call her a cunt, a bitch. I just said, you're a very hard woman. I won't text you. I won't call you. I'll go away. And I'm sorry, but I think a lot of women like to bitch. I think women like to have somebody to bitch with. And you men need to shut that down. You need to look your wife or your girlfriend in the eye and say, define the problem. Let's talk about it, and let's find a solution. But if we're going to sit here and do this all day, I'm done. The workplaces are starting to focus on that more. They're having more meetings saying, instead of complaining about stuff, let's talk about the problem and let's find a solution and let's change it. I agree. You're tired all the time? Well, let's analyze why you're tired. If you're tired and you're crabby, then don't call me to come over if you're going to be like that all day. I don't want to be around a crab. I don't. If I want crab, I'll go to the restaurant, order it. But if I'm being invited to your house, I didn't order crab, so don't give it to me. And that's the thing. We men need to not be afraid of women, and when they're acting like that, tell her, hey, I don't need this. You don't want me to text? You don't want me to call and send you sweet nothings? Fine, I'll go away. And you know what? Oh, well, oh, geez. I said I was going to call you tomorrow. Yeah, now you want me, huh? Now that I've made a statement that, you know what? I don't need you that bad. If you want me, I'll leave. You want to complain about me? I'll just disappear, and then you can go find somebody else to bitch with. American women. Complicated. There's so many love songs. So many love songs. But there's so many songs about dysfunctional relationships, too. So many. I think I've exhausted this subject today. In closing, God resisteth the proud. That goes for women too. That's not directed at males. That's directed at anybody who's proud. Women walking around showing their cleavage, wearing skin-tight, butt-fitting pants that outlines their crotch. I mean, I don't mean to be crude, but I've even seen some women where their vagina is framed by it, and you can see the two things pushing down. I'm like, okay, That's gross. Walking around in public like that. Spandex. And it's really appalling when I see fat women wearing spandex. It's like, boy, that just really does not enhance you one bit. I need to say what I need to say, and if you women out there are offended, kiss my butt. I've heard all my life how terrible we are. I'm not one of those terribles. And there's many of my viewers that are not among those terribles. You just won't choose good men. You just don't want good men. You want money. You want materialism. You want somebody who will pamper and spoil you instead of challenge and grow you up. That was the problem with my ex-wife for 14 years. She was not going to change. She was not going to grow up. She's not spiritually mature. Even today, I have not seen 1 ounce of spiritual growth in her since I've left her. In fact, she has descended even lower. And what's really funny is parallel to that whole thing is people who have a high view of their walk with God are at their lowest in their walk with God. Those that have a very low view of their walk with God are spiritual giants. I'm not talking about people who just maintain that fake humility and, oh, I'm no good, and that's a form of attention getting too. But those that you go up and compliment and they go, no, I'm not. Those are the ones that are closer to Jesus. There's a direct relation to today's American women thinking they're so spiritual, and I would challenge to put up here that from what I've read of the Bible and what I've read of the greats like D.L. Moody, Whitefield, Ironsides, Charles Haddon Spurgeon, and I could go on a huge list, Hudson Taylor. You don't find men like that in our culture today. Why is that? We got more Christian TV, more Christian bookstores, more good preaching that you can have access to in your truck, your car, your iPod, in your house, on your TV. You can get church 7 days a week, pumped into your living room, pumped into your head. And guess what? We are less committed to holiness, less committed to community, less committed to a passionate zeal for God. We talk about him. We know a lot of knowledge about him. But a fire for God. And along with that, in tandem with that, is watching American Christian women today. We don't have a Mrs. Wesley who raised John, who started the Methodist Church, not the United Methodist Church, but the Methodist Church that was reaching souls and shutting down bars. The effects of a godly woman are not known today because they're not there, at least right here in America. We got a lot of women that talk that they're godly. We got a lot of women that put cutesy little Sandy Patty and cutesy flowery Jesus sayings all over their Facebook. They're overweight, they're materialistic, they're narcissist, and they're sitting there going, well, you're not very godly. That's not the mind of Christ. And they're sitting there pointing their little spiritual dart guns at everybody. And they got all their cutesy little Christian sayings, and they're not with a man because no man wants to be with them. And then they turn around and use that as, well, there's no godly men out there. There's a lot of godly men out there, but you're not worthy of them. Ha! Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, girls. The tide is turned. You're not as godly as you think you are. You're arrogant. You're lifted up. You're proud. And you do not hold the mirror of truth up to your own self. I see more women on Craigslist, Christian women, BBWs, saying that God looks at the heart. Well, good for him. I don't. I look at the heart, but I also look at the exterior package. I'm sorry, but when I go shopping for a truck, I'm not going to look at that rust bucket sitting out there and go, ooh, it's got a good engine in it. Sorry, if the body panels are falling off and the rocker panels are rusted and you go down the road and the fenders are going blah, 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 blah. Not a good truck. Sorry, women. You're really hard on us men. I'm going to be hard on you if you want to be fat. And if you're all about that bass, no treble. Sorry, I like a little more treble. And if you don't like that, stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Because you know what? I have a right to a petite woman. I'm slender. I take care of myself. I want a woman who does the same. I have a right to desire a pretty woman. I'm not looking for a Barbie girl. I'm not into Barbie girls. But I have a right. Just as much as you think you have a right to go chase a man with money. Oh my gosh, look in the mirror at yourself and ask yourself, who's going to pay for that? I'm tired of it. I understand that there are certain things we cannot help, that we're all born a certain way. I'm not talking gay. I'm talking about born with certain DNA, certain attributes. Some women are big boned. Some are going to have a little bit more pudge. I understand that. But when I look at the BBWs on Craigslist, the first thing that I tell you is undisciplined. I'm a foodie. All I do is go all day long and defend it and justify it. And I'm going to sit on my couch with my big, nasty armpit the size of a dinner plate, and I'm going to sit there like this and go, all I want is a man to love me. Shh. My head could get swallowed up in your armpit. I don't think so. Gross. And those same women are making fun of me and my thick glasses and how scrawny I am. I'm not scrawny. The hypocrisy of today's women and their expectations on us men is disgusting. When Eric goes to the Philippines because he has seen enough with Canadian women, that ought to tell you something. When Eric has talent and can make videos and he's an artist and he's good at what he does and he's a hard worker, it's easy for women in his region to go, oh, there must be something wrong with him. No, actually, he's more well-adjusted than all of you are. He figured you out quick, and he put you in the box where you belong and said, I'm going to fly right out of this box. I'm going to go find a sweetie. Good for you, Eric. And I hope that relationship works. I'm trying with this girl, but I'm only going to try so much because you know what? It's time for us men to fight back in the right way. Not talking violence, not talking abuse, but stand up to the woman. And if she leaves you, say la vista. I mean, let's get real here. You don't need that. One headache just walked out of your life. I'm afraid that so many of us are afraid of offending somebody. We don't want to be alone. Hey, offend them a little bit. If they really love you, they'll stay. I'm getting tired of these lightweight women putting all their requirements on us but not doing one thing about changing the inner character of their heart as well as painting the barn. House has to be maintained. A human body has to be maintained. Your car has to be maintained. You go ahead and keep driving your car without doing oil changes. You go ahead and let that salt stay on there in the winter and see how quick it starts rusting and eating the metal. Women, if you let yourselves go, don't be surprised if your man looks at you who's been with you for 20 years suddenly says, I can't get an erection over you anymore, hon. Sorry. Can't do it. Oh, but if you had the love of Christ, excuse me, I don't see Jesus married to any fat woman. Well, he doesn't need a wife. No, he doesn't. But I'm going to tell you something. I do not believe that Jesus Christ expects us men to put up with a whale of a woman and get turned on by that. I don't believe that, because I believe that when God made Adam and Eve that they were both perfect, and I don't believe either one of them were chunky. I just don't believe it. I believe because of the collective results of sin, DNA, mutations, sickness, illness, all kinds of things, junk food culture, bad lifestyle habits has changed our bodies. There are some people who cannot help their looks. Some people were born with deformities. I feel for them. We don't make fun of them. We don't look down on them. We ask God to help us love them. But there are people that are fine-looking people that let themselves go because they're lazy. And yet we got the other extreme of that. We got the women walking around in the T-bra, running through town with her little pulse meter here and her little iPod here, and she's tuned out, tuned in, plugged in, and she's making her body look good for what? So she can make mad, passionate love to her husband? Hell no. So that she can strut around with the other women. Oh, wow, your form looks really good. Oh, thank you. You want to lick me right here? That's what they're doing. They're so in love with themselves that they're turning in on themselves, and they're starting to go after women. And many of these are married. Talk to these yuppie men that are married to them. I can tell you they don't make love. We got the baby in the designer stroller. The man walks. He's a pussified male. But when he gets behind his SUV, thinks he's Mr. Macho with his hand draped over it, and you look at him and go, you don't even have muscle tone. You work in an office all day. And your wife's a stuck-up dowdy. I know you didn't make love. You guys had sex, you got a baby, now you got the designer stroller, and you all do what everybody else does, and you're going to raise a kid who's going to be just like that. Blasé, boring. And we keep passing this baton over and over. And Pacific's starting to say, maybe we need to start a super race. My friend Matt called me the other day from a semi-truck parked somewhere in Oregon and said, I just heard about a couple that paid $15,000 for an island in Cambodia. $15,000 for an island? Really? There are times I'd like to start a community of people. No, not an Aryan race, but get people together. Because I watch our culture following in synchronization, homogenized step, and it's awful to see it. The car commercials bother me. Irritating music. Obnoxious guy. You can't wait. Come down to Deal and Doug's. Get these SUVs. They're going fast. Wow, passion. Wow, this is really exciting. I'm going to get in debt for this piece of junk that's going to rust out in 10 years. And we don't have passion for people. We don't have passion in the bedroom. We don't have passion for God. And everybody's caught up in this materialism. And I'm going, what is going on? And you see it on the roads. My Land Rover's better than yours. Yeah, there's 15 million other people in the city that own those same dang colored things that you got. Wow, you're special. At the end of the day, what do you got? Nothing. She was looking for a nail. She went into the walk-in closet in the kitchen, the pantry. Picked up a tool caddy, had the thing. All I did was lean over her, didn't touch her. She goes, I'm trying to find a nail, and I just leaned to see if my eyes could spot it. This is American women, how messed up they are. She turns around. Will you stop leaning over me? You're 45 years old and you got to act like a child? What is your problem? I'm helping you find a nail. I'm independent. What do you think, I'm stupid? I didn't say one word. So I tried something. I said, you know what? I don't think you know my heart. I want to help you. It isn't a help that says you're pathetic, you can't do it. She goes, I'm independent. I don't need help. Yeah, actually you do. You've been burned. And so you hide behind that independence. I don't need a man, but yet you want me here. You don't need a man, but you responded to my ad a year, last year. Or at the beginning of this year. Actually, you responded to it last year, and then we went out New Year's Eve. Make up your mind what you want. If you want your independence, then don't date a guy. If you want a guy, then lose your independence and learn to healthily depend. American women are a mess. She still goes on about the ex. She still goes on about different guys she's dated. And I just look and I go, you know what? You've attracted bad guys. End of story. You dated idiots. But stop putting that trip on me. Until I do what they do, stop being a porcupine and having all your quills out. Ball's in her court, viewers. I know many of you men would say Pacific loser. I agree. But I got to at least try my experiment and see it to the finish line. Can I make a difference? Can my attitude with her, standing when I need to, and me being sweet on her, can it change her? Part of me says, if a woman is loved the way she's supposed to be loved, that yes. But the other part of me says she's an American. Hell no. 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 Because women get to a point in the society, they like that victim mentality. They like that porcupine persona. I don't. I'm more like otters. Have you watched otters? They are so cute. They slide down the riverbank. They play. They roll around in the water. And they chase each other. I want a lover like that. So, two porcupines walking down the road. How are you? I'm not good. They're poking each other, two skunks. Back up to each other, spray each other in the face. Oh, great, you stink. You stink too. Oh, good. Get away from me. You get away from me. I mean, gosh. I still like what that woman in Spokane said. I'm in the kitchen cooking and I hear her say, Pacific, you know, some people are just like skunks. All they do is spray. I almost dropped this frying pan. That's funny. That's great. I like that, Linda. That's classic. Are you a porcupine personality woman? There was a woman in Spokane. She was a little bit chunky, but she had black hair and she had a cuteness about her. We were at church trying to vote in a pastor, the one that I preached at. I ended up sitting next to her, and when we went to pray, we were told to grab each other's hand. I grabbed her hand, and I immediately felt something, and she did too. And I found myself sweating, going, gosh, why am I being aroused by holding this woman's hand? And we went out a few times, but she had such a porcupine personality that I finally, when I was in Hong Kong, she was going to come out and visit me, because she had told me, you need to go and see if this thing with Beth is going to work out or not. And when I told her it failed, she goes, you know what, I'd like to come out and visit you. I said, you know what, that would be so awesome. I'd love to show you my city. My city, because it became my heart. But she was so belligerent and so rude, and so she'd get uptight about things, and I finally wrote her an email, and I said, you know what, you are a porcupine. And I said, I'm getting tired of being poked. I'm a nice guy. She writes in all capitals, well, if you know what I've been through, I know what you've been through. But don't put that on me. American women, you got to realize that whatever crap you've been through, stop putting that on every male. You say that we generalize against you, you call us chauvinistic. Well, you can't blanket statement every American man that we're all a piece of junk. We're reacting to that, and it's pissing you off. Hold the mirror of truth to your own face, ladies. Start looking at yourself and make an honest assessment. What do you have to bring to the table? Drama? Porcupine quill? Skunk spray? Wow, that's good for relational longevity. Not. You know, if you think that because you're good looking that that's all you need to bring to the table, I got news for you. Looks get old real quick when your heart sucks. I like a truck that looks good and runs good, thank you. I want a woman that looks good and runs good, thank you. Not perfect. She needs a tune-up. I need a tune-up. We need to change the oil. Yeah. Good analogy, but it fits. You know, ships, you need to swab the decks. You need to polish the brass. You need to scrape and paint the hull and get the barnacles off. We're the same way. We get barnacles on us. We get comfortable. We get complacent, and we get lazy. We all need to scrape the hull. And scraping hurts. Woman, you need a man in your life to balance you out. I'm sorry, but that's the reality. I need a woman in my life to balance me out. A woman can sand off my rough edges. And a man can also sand off yours. But when you live alone and you do this stuff, you just become more dysfunctional. I'm not saying some women God and some men God is called to be alone. I think my view is coming full circle. Being back for 3 years, I've settled more that I'm not in Hong Kong. Probably will not go again. Most likely will not go again. There's no purpose to go. I don't have a woman there to pursue. I have a friend there. The woman that I dated, Luna. And we still talk. We Skyped last night. I talked to her on the phone on my layover yesterday. But Hong Kong is a memory. It's a stern of my ship that's sailing this ocean. It was an experience. I can't keep looking at Asia and keep pining away for that. I'm here. There's a part of me that's settling more into, boy, it'd just be nice to be able to afford a home somewhere and have a wife in it and both just enjoy each other and live simply and pursue God and try to, have a passion for each other and God. But Pacific, would you want to live in Asia? I wanted to live in Asia more as a backlash to what's been going on. I hate what's going on in this culture, and yes, I want to flee from it. I want to get away from this. But truth, when I was in the Philippines, it's so bloody hot there. It's so sweaty, and I don't want to be dripping water all the time off of me. I don't want to feel my stomach churning all day long because it's so hot there. It liquefies. We Americans are not made for that kind of heat. You got to be in air conditioning in your house. You got to cool your core temperature down because we white people, we're made more for the cold. If you notice, the darker skinned people are made for the heat. The whiter skin are made for the cold. I don't know why that is, but there's something about that. I've watched that over the years. Look at geographically. Look at Norwegian, Swedish, and all them. They're made for that stuff. You put them down in Africa, you put them down in South America, and they're dying. You take a husky dog, a sled dog, and you go through South America on the way to Antarctica. Will Steger took his dogs, and one of them died because the heat was too much for it. Different DNA, man. There are things I like about Asia, and there's things I like about America. I wish I could bring them both together. I've flirted with a couple of the gals at the Vietnamese restaurant. There's a wall. I've flirted with black women, but there's a wall. So anyways, just sharing my personal experiences. Hope this video does something for you men and women. Hope you get something positive out of it. Hope you get something cleansing out of it. I hope you get something that's a bit of a knife that pierces your own soul and conscience to say, hey, you know what? Women, if you're being a jerk to your man, stop it. Men, if you're being a jerk to your woman, stop it. But men, stop being afraid of your woman. Turn around and say, you know, you're being a bitch today. Could you please stop it? Sometimes they need to hear that too. You know? I'm not conventional. And anyways, today is another day. It's a gift from God. It's a package. It's unfolding minute by minute to see what's inside of it and what the contents of the day will be. I look forward to being with my friend, the Filipina, because she is a positive as a friend. I'm glad I can let my hair down with her. Nothing inappropriate. She's dating somebody. She doesn't have a ride. That whole thing's a mess. There's a man who's using somebody. He won't sit by her in the break room. He won't hold her hand in public. He won't come to this thing. He lives with his wife, who he's not divorced from, and it makes me sick. But she's got to go through that herself. She knows all that. Too many women choose the wrong guy every time. And then when things go to pot, they blame it on the dudes. She's my little sister. She gets excited when she sees me, and we have that friendship. There's always going to be a part of me that will always be cutesy and fun with the Filipinas because I like the way they are. And I'm glad I have her as a friend. That's my one little touch of Asia in my life. I told a joke this week. I may have told it before, but there's a guy who's #1 in seniority down in our workplace, older Mexican man and Hispanic, and I like him. I respect him. He wears the old style, cool felt hats. And I came up and told him this joke, and he laughed about it for 4 days, and every time he see me at the time clock, he'd go, that was funny, that was funny. Chinese proverb, he who stand on toilet, high on pot. So I close with that. I love women. For the women that get on here that are feminist, feminazi, pro-Hillary Clinton supporters, pro-Dianne Feinstein, and all those other nut jobs in Washington, you're not going to get anything out of this video. You don't have the mental capacity to hold the mirror of truth to your face. So don't leave your crappy comments. I delete them. I don't listen to you because you have no forum with me. I've heard your garbage long enough. I've seen what it's done to America. I've seen what it's done to women, and it's unproductive. It is fruitless. I'm a man who believes in defining the problem, solving the problem, and there's women that are my friends both in this forum and in my physical world, that agree with my viewpoints, and I respect them. So if you want to talk trash and say I'm chauvinistic, talk to the hand, because you don't know what you're talking about. Pacific is not chauvinistic. I give more women credit than I probably should. That if a woman has a better idea than me, I'll say, well, let's go with that then. I'm not so proud. I've asked a woman for directions. Yes. I'll say, excuse me, can you tell me how to get to here? And I find that most women, because I'm a man and I'll humble myself, they're like, wow, man's asking me? You bet I'll tell you. And they'll give me clear directions, and I'm like, dang, that worked. I went up to a woman yesterday. I had to cover 2 routes in an area of town that I'm not totally familiar with, mildly so. And they're not straight streets, north, south, east, and west. It's curves and cul-de-sacs, courts, lanes, places, all that. She gave me exact, accurate directions, and I said, when I came back, she looked at me, I said, thanks to you, I was able to get through the route. I only missed one turn. That was my own fault. I turned left instead of right. And I said, but you gave me perfect directions, and the route was seamless. She goes, good. There's value in women. I believe women have value. I believe women have intellect. I believe women have something to offer us men that we cannot get out of ourselves. So for anybody that thinks that I think that women are less than, I don't. I admit to you that I'm not complete by myself. Never will be. I need another woman to complete the circle of Pacific, and she needs Pacific to complete the circle of her. And we all ultimately need God to make that perfect. You throw all those out and you try to be independent, it's just a mess from there on out. Okay, Eric, it isn't 4 hours, but it's almost 3. A lot of Filipinos are choosing men in America because a lot of Filipinos are players. A lot of Filipinos drink, don't get a job, and the woman works. It's very sad but real dynamic in the Philippines. I have a lot of Filipino friends that I respect. There's a lot of Filipino males, not my friends, that don't work, that sit on their butt and don't do anything but acquire mistresses. A lot of women that I met in the Philippines said, I don't want one of my own kind, just like I don't want one of my own cultural kind over here. And that, by the way, I want to delineate. I've said a lot about white women. I don't want an American black woman, American Asian woman, or an American white woman as a general rule because of all this cultural bondage, baggage, and catharsis that's going on with them. Black women in this country are just as wrecked as white women, just as wrecked as Asian women in this country. Asian women, most of them that I see at the mall, we got the Hello Kitty Asian crowd running around buying their bags of crap, stuck up. They want a free ride. They want to sit on Easy Street, and they're rude. American culture is destructive to women if they're not mature enough, if they're not grounded enough in this and in themselves to say, you know what, I'm not going to embrace that aspect of the culture. I've yet to find a woman born and raised over here that can step outside that culture and go, there's some things I like about this culture, but there's some things I don't. I've yet to find a woman who would embrace me, lock, stock, and barrel with all my flaws and warts and zits and everything else, and would love me and I love her, that is in this country. I believe there's some out there. There's a couple on my channel. Unfortunately, some of them are tied up with people. That's the other thing that bothers me. The women that I like, that are the good ones, are already taken. That sucks. That sucks. Thou shalt not covet, Pacific. Yes, God. Yes. This is Pacific signing off. Happy Saturday, everybody, and have a great weekend. Stay tuned. We're not off the air. We're still bringing to you more stuff to pollute the internet for your listening pleasure. This is dedicated to all my friends far and wide, those that are stuck in the frozen, vast inland north of Canada, who put me on their iPod and go about their artistic duties, and people in the Philippines that listen, and people all over. I'm just glad that you're getting something out of it. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're on my Facebook. For those that want to know my Facebook, it is Maikeru Sanyong. That's Maikeru. Separate word, S-A-N, not M as in Michael, S-A-N-Y-U-N-G. Maikeru Sanyong. Maikeru is Japanese for Michael. That is the name that Maharani gave me, and I love it. So if I see who you are and I see your pictures and see that you are somebody I feel safe, I will add you. If you are trolls, if you are connected to my, well, never mind, we won't say that. The enemies of state, you're not getting in. Won't let you. If you don't have pictures, and I mean lots of pictures of yourself, see ya. I'm not playing that game. I don't need trolls in my personal space. Just say no to trolls. Pull the underwear down over their head and send them on their way. This is Pacific signing off. Bye-bye.